können natürlich auch hinten bleiben. Hört man uns gut? Gut.
Ist das jetzt dein ganzes Team?
Okay. Ja, hi, wir sind Munira und Angel und eigentlich machen wir, die meiste Zeit meditieren wir tatsächlich mit Geschäftsleuten und Teams und Firmen und wir beschäftigen uns aber auch sehr viel damit, was Musik und Sound eigentlich macht, auch mit jemandem macht, um nach innen zu gehen, verschiedene Reisen zu gehen und also brauche ich wahrscheinlich euch nicht sagen, dass Musik schon eine ziemlich starke Wirkung hat. Und in Kombination mit Meditation, finden wir, kann man da sogar noch in eine ganz spezielle Reise gehen. Ich geek mich ja öfter mal so ein bisschen rum mit Gehirn und was es macht und welche Gehirnwellen damit bewirkt werden. Und zum Beispiel der Trommelton hat einen ganz bestimmten Sound, der Beta-Gehirnströme aktiviert. Ich werde da jetzt gar nicht so viel weiter darauf eingehen. Guckt einfach mal selbst. Wir werden euch auf eine kleine Reise bringen. Und ihr könnt euch jetzt einfach so bequem wie möglich für euch selber hinsetzen. Also das muss jetzt nicht super gerade sein oder so. Ich merke immer, wenn ich die Füße, beide Füße auf dem Boden habe, dass es mir irgendwie hilft, mich zu ankern. Aber guckt einfach mal. Genau. Und dann könnt ihr eure Augen schließen. Und so ganz langsam holst du dich selber einfach hier in diesen Raum hinein und kommst voll und ganz hier an. Wie du hier sitzt, kommst du einfach mal an. Und dann nimmst du 3 tiefe Atemzüge, ganz tief ein durch die Nase und aus durch den Mund. Tief ein durch die Nase und aus durch den Mund. Und nimmst deine nächsten Atemzüge erstmal einfach nur wahr. Wie fühlt sich deine Atmung gerade an? Und wenn du über den Zeitraum dieser Reise abgelenkt wirst von eigenen Gedanken, von irgendwelchen Geräuschen, dann komm einfach immer wieder zurück zur Reise. Es ist ganz normal, dass du abgelenkt wirst. Komm einfach immer wieder zurück. Und auf dieser Reise begibst du dich jetzt an deinen allerliebsten Ort auf dieser Welt. Es ist der Ort, an dem du dich so wohl und sicher fühlst wie nirgendwo anders. Dieser Ort kann draußen sein oder drinnen, kann hier sein, in diesem Land, kann auch in einem ganz anderen Land sein. Ein Ort, in dem du immer das Gefühl hast, dass du total runterfahren kannst, voll und ganz du selbst sein kannst. Und an diesem Ort legst du dich auf den Boden und lässt dich voll und ganz fallen. Und liegst da so am Boden und guckst nach oben in den Himmel oder auf die Decke, je nachdem, wo du bist. Und spürst eine Riesenfreude und eine Riesengelassenheit in diesem Ort. Und von diesem Ort stehst du jetzt ganz langsam auf und beginnst auf eine Reise zu gehen. Es gibt so einen schmalen Pfad, den du anfängst entlang zu gehen. Und du gehst und du guckst dir, während du diesen Pfad entlang gehst, deine Umgebung an. Wo gehst du denn da gerade? Und du gehst weiter und weiter. Und irgendwann mal siehst du eine Person vor dir laufen. Erst kannst du sie noch gar nicht so richtig erkennen, aber du wirst immer neugieriger, denn diese Person kommt dir total bekannt vor. Und je näher du der Person kommst, desto mehr kannst du sehen. Diese Person bist du, dein weiseres Selbst, dein älteres Selbst, eine ältere Version von dir. Und du gehst immer noch hinter deinem weiseren Selbst, aber kannst schon richtig sehen, wie geht denn diese Person? Wie geht dein weises Selbst? Was für eine Körperhaltung hat dein weiseres Selbst? Kommst deinem weiseren Selbst immer näher, bis du irgendwann mal neben deinem weiseren Selbst gehst. Und jetzt kannst du auch das Gesicht von deinem weiseren Selbst sehen. Guck deinem weiseren Selbst in die Augen. Was kannst du sehen, wenn du deinem weiseren Selbst in die Augen guckst? Wie ist der Ausdruck? Was kannst du in den Augen lesen? Deines weiseren Selbst schlüpfen. Und kurz mal bist du selber in diesem Körper von deinem weiseren zukünftigen Selbst. Wie fühlt sich der Körper an? Wie fühlt sich dein weiseres Selbst? Was für Gedanken hat dein weiseres Selbst? Sehe, höre und fühle es. Und wenn du dich jetzt in dem Leben deines weiseren zukünftigen Selbst umguckst, wen siehst du da noch? Sind da noch andere Menschen im Leben deines weiseren Selbst? Und wo ist dein weiseres Selbst? An welchem Ort hast du dein weiseres zukünftiges Selbst gefunden? Wie sieht der Ort aus? Welche Menschen sind um dich herum? Bist du alleine? Sind da ganz viele andere? Sind da vielleicht Kinder oder Enkelkinder? Vielleicht auch nicht. Und wie fühlt sich das an, in Wie denkt dein weiseres Selbst über die Welt? Wie fühlt sich der Rücken deines weiseren Selbst an? Wie fühlt sich der Kopf und die Gedankenwelt an? Was für einen Alltag lebt dein weiseres Selbst? Welche Dinge hat dein weiseres Selbst abgelegt? Sehe und höre und fühle es. Weiseren Selbst wieder und befindest dich wieder gegenüber von deinem weiseren Selbst. Und du guckst deinem weiseren Selbst in die Augen und sagst: weiseres, zukünftiges Selbst, wenn du mir einen Rat geben könntest, was wäre dieser Rat? Was sind die Dinge, die ich heute in meinem Leben machen soll? Was sind die Dinge, über die ich mir vielleicht keine Sorgen mehr machen muss? Was antwortet dir dein weiseres Selbst? Welchen Ratschlag gibt dir dein zukünftiges weiseres Selbst für dein jetziges Leben? Was es dir dein zukünftiges weiseres Selbst mitgibt? Was kannst du in den Augen deines zukünftigen weiseren Selbst lesen für deine Zukunft? Dich von deinem weiseren Selbst wieder zu verabschieden. Du guckst deinem weiseren Selbst noch einmal in die Augen, bedankst dich und fragst dein weiseres Selbst, wenn ich dich nochmal wiedersehen will, wenn ich nochmal einen Rat von dir brauche, wie finde ich dich? Was antwortet dein weiseres Selbst? Wie kannst du dich wieder mit dem weiseren Selbst verbinden? Du ganz langsam wieder zurück, den Weg, den du am Anfang gekommen bist. Und du gehst und du gehst und du drehst dich noch einmal zurück, guckst noch einmal zu deinem weiseren Selbst. Eure Blicke treffen sich noch ein einziges Mal. Gehst du weiter, weiter, bis du wieder an den Ort angekommen bist, an dem deine Reise angefangen hat. Du bist wieder an deinem Lieblingsort und legst dich wieder auf den Boden und lässt die Eindrücke von dem Treffen mit deinem weiseren Selbst auf dich wirken. Und während du da so liegst, reflektiere noch einmal, wie alt war dein weiseres Selbst? Wie hat sich dein weiseres Selbst angefühlt? Wie hat sich der Körper angefühlt? Was hattest du für ein Gefühl, wie es deinem weiseren Selbst geht? Und was waren die Ratschläge, die du bekommen hast? Und dann lässt du die Geschichte deines weiseren Selbst allmählich los. Du kommst einfach wieder an. Entfernst dich ganz langsam von deinem liebsten Ort, an den du jederzeit wieder zurückkommen kannst, wenn du dich zurückerinnern willst. Und kommst wieder hier in diesem Raum an. Fühlst deine Füße auf dem Boden. Bist wieder hier angekommen. Wie ist es für dich gerade hier zu sein? Wie fühlst du dich gerade? Wie fühlt sich dein Körper jetzt gerade an? Und dann bringst du deine Aufmerksamkeit zu deiner Atmung. Nimmst noch einmal einen ganz tiefen Atemzug und einen ganz langsamen Atemzug nach draußen. Lässt die Luft ganz langsam raus. Und in deiner Zeit öffnest du jetzt wieder deine Augen. Willkommen zurück. Und wenn du willst, kannst du dir auch gerne danach nochmal Zeit nehmen, aufzuschreiben, was für dich hochgekommen ist. Vor allem die Ratschläge deines weiseren Selbst, aber auch, wie hat sich das angefühlt? Ganz oft, wenn wir in die Zukunft gucken, was wir eigentlich im Leben machen wollen, ist das weisere Selbst im Prinzip der Ratschlag, den euch das weisere Selbst gegeben hat, ist der Ratschlag, den ihr euch selbst gebt. Einfach nur von einer anderen Perspektive. Und ganz oft, wenn wir etwas wollen, denken wir immer nur an die Dinge, die wir tun müssen oder Dinge, die geschehen müssen, aber gar nicht so sehr, wie wollen wir uns eigentlich fühlen. Und vielleicht habt ihr gemerkt, oh, es ist gar nicht so wichtig, was mein weiseres Selbst gemacht hat. Es war viel wichtiger, wie ich mich gefühlt habe. Habt noch einen schönen Tag. Dankeschön.
Um 10:15 Uhr in der Kuppel kann man eine Stunde euch noch hören und erzählen. Kannst du kurz erzählen, was du da machst?
Ja, wir sprechen über Mindfulness, Achtsamkeit, wie man das auch in Entrepreneurship und in der Businesswelt integrieren kann. Und wenn ihr interessiert seid, wie ihr das selber in euren Arbeitsalltag mit reinbringt, dann kommt vorbei.
Ja, super. Um 10:15 Uhr in der Kuppel. Vielen Dank. Ja, erstmal herzlich willkommen. Schön, dass ihr alle zu dieser frühen Zeit schon hier seid, nach einer schönen Party gestern Abend. Willkommen zum Hybrid Music Lab im Rahmen der Most Wanted Music. Mein Name ist Alex Jacobi, ich bin heute euer Stage-Host. Ich werde mal Deutsch, mal Englisch reden. Wir haben verschiedene Gäste, verschiedene Speaker. Es wird ein toller Tag. Und bevor wir loslegen, so ein paar kleine Grundinfos. Wir haben einen Social-Media-Hashtag. Das ist MWM18, MWM18. So, wann immer ihr auf Insta, auf Twitter, je mehr, desto besser posten wollt. Am besten jetzt eure Handys zücken und schon mal was posten. Wir wollen trenden. MWM18, unser Hashtag. Wenn ihr Spaß an einem Talk hattet, in der Speakers Lounge, direkt hier vorne links um die Ecke, gibt es eine Viertelstunde lang nach jedem Talk die Speaker zum sozusagen persönlichen Ansprechen, wenn ihr Fragen an sie habt. Direkt gegenüber gibt es die Immersive Media Exhibition von unserem Sponsor INVR und Robert Koch. Da freuen wir uns auch sehr drüber. Schaut es euch an, das ist ziemlich cool. Und ich glaube, seid ihr bereit? Wir können direkt fangen mit der allerersten Session heute. Es geht um New Work in der Musikbranche und wie wir in Zukunft arbeiten. Von Themen wie Personal Branding, Work from Home, digitale Büros, Selbstausbeutung, Scheinselbstständigkeit, Sinnsuche. Wie verändert sich Arbeit heute? Und da reden wir heute drüber mit Annette Polazewski-Plath von Eventbrite, die das Panel moderieren wird. Wir reden mit Dennis Suasa von der Bundesvereinigung Deutscher Arbeitgeberverbände und Jonathan Kloth kommt zu uns und Jonathan wird anfangen mit einem 10-minütigen Impulsvortrag und dann wird Annette das Panel moderieren. Ich wünsche euch viel Spaß und los geht's mit der MWM 2018, zweiter Tag.
Hallo, guten Morgen. New Work. Für mich ist das mehr als nur Bällchenbad und Kicker am Arbeitsplatz. Und ich öffne mal mit einem Zitat von Fridtjof Bergmann, der diesen Begriff New Work schon vor fast 50 Jahren geprägt hat. Der hat nämlich gesagt, alte Arbeit ist Arbeit, die wir in etwa wie eine milde Krankheit ertragen. Und neue Arbeit ist Arbeit, die wir wirklich, wirklich tun wollen. Wir haben vor 7 Jahren einen Verein gegründet, der heißt Leadership hoch 3. Und wir haben uns damals nicht nur gefragt, was ist die Arbeit, die wir wirklich, wirklich tun wollen, sondern wie wollen wir auch zusammenarbeiten. Nicht nur das Was, sondern auch das Wie war für uns entscheidend. Und ein Aspekt war für uns da total klar. Wir wollten viel selbstbestimmter arbeiten, als es oft in klassischen Arbeitsverhältnissen vorgegeben ist. Und wenn wir von Selbstbestimmung reden, war für uns ein ganz zentraler Aspekt, der sehr schnell hochkam, Selbstorganisation. Jetzt probiere ich mal, ob dieser Klicker hier funktioniert. Ist er das? Tada! Sehr schön. Selbstorganisation. In unserem Alltag und in unserem Privatleben trauen wir eigentlich jedem Menschen zu, dass er sich selber organisieren kann und selber sein Leben auf die Reihe kriegt. Wenn wir dann an den Arbeitsplatz kommen, kriegen wir eine Führungskraft vorgesetzt, die uns sagt, was wir zu tun haben. Und das hat lange Zeit auch seinen Zweck erfüllt. Und es war auch gut, um lineare industrielle Prozesse zu skalieren. Wenn wir in der Produktion sind, ist es sinnvoll, einen Experten zu haben, der weiß, was zu tun ist und anderen sagt, was sie zu tun haben. Ganz viele unserer Prozesse, die wir heute aber haben und insbesondere in der Kreativbranche und eben auch in Dienstleistungsorganisationen, ist es so, dass die Herausforderungen so komplex sind, dass wir nicht mehr den einen Experten haben, der weiß, was zu tun ist, sondern wir eigentlich viel stärker Menschen brauchen, die Eigeninitiative zeigen und sich eben selbst organisieren, um die Ergebnisse ihrer Arbeitsprozesse mitzugestalten. Und dieser Aspekt der Selbstbestimmung war für uns so stark, dass wir gesagt haben, lass uns mal dazu forschen. Und wir haben Veranstaltungen organisiert und haben Menschen eingeladen und wir haben gemerkt, Moment, das geht nicht nur uns so, sondern es sind ganz viele Menschen und sogar so viele Menschen, die sich danach sehnen, sinnerfüllter und selbstorganisierter zu arbeiten, dass wir uns inzwischen auch trauen, die These in den Raum zu stellen, zu sagen, wir befinden uns in einem ganz grundlegenden Bewusstseinswandel. Und dieser Bewusstseinswandel bedeutet für uns, dass wir von einer Geschichte, die uns lange Zeit gesellschaftlich gedient hat, wie in ein neues Narrativ übergehen, eine neue Geschichte gemeinsam kreieren. Und die erste These ist damit, dass wir in diesem Bewusstseinswandel von 2 Faktoren angetrieben werden. Wahrscheinlich noch viel mehr, aber 2 möchte ich mal rausstellen. Der erste Faktor ist, dass ganz viele Menschen von sich heraus merken, sie wollen sinnerfüllter und selbstbestimmter arbeiten. Und der zweite Faktor ist, dass wir uns einfach in einer technologischen Entwicklung befinden, die so schnell ist, dass sie zwangsläufig auch unser Bewusstsein mit beeinflussen wird. Und die Art und Weise, wie wir arbeiten und miteinander auch interagieren. Und es ist auch total notwendig, dass sich Bewusstsein entwickelt, wenn wir eben von exponentiellen Technologien sprechen. Wir haben oft genug die Erfahrung gemacht, was passiert, wenn wir neue Technologien entwickeln, unser Bewusstsein aber noch nicht ganz bereit ist, diese Technologien zu nutzen. Und das wird dann den Unterschied machen, ob sie sich zum Wohl der Menschheit auswirken oder eben auch gegen die Entwicklung der Menschheit eingesetzt werden. Beispiel Atombombe, eine Hochtechnologie, die aber von einem noch nicht ausreichend entwickelten Bewusstsein eben auch sehr zerstörerische Auswirkungen haben kann. Und ähnliche Potenziale, aber eben auch Herausforderungen gibt es eben auch mit der Digitalisierung. Zweite These ist, dass dieser Bewusstseinswandel natürlich nicht von alleine passiert, sondern eben auch bewusste Räume braucht, in denen sich dieses Bewusstsein entwickeln kann. Und unsere These ist, dass der Arbeitsplatz, den wir gestalten, eben genau so ein Ort sein kann, wo dieser Bewusstseinswandel unterstützt wird. Das heißt, wenn wir Menschen dazu ermächtigen, sich viel mehr selber kennenzulernen, in ihren eigenen Fähigkeiten sich weiterzuentwickeln und sich gegenseitig darin zu unterstützen, kann das eben diesen Bewusstseinswandel mit unterstützen. Und dann haben wir was entwickelt, was für uns eine Kombination ist aus Praktiken, aus Prinzipien und aus bestimmten Methoden und vor allem aber auch eine Haltung. Und das nennen wir kollektive Führung. Und kollektive Führung ist für uns ein Ansatz, der uns darin unterstützt, einerseits die Intelligenz aller Beteiligten mit einzubeziehen und gleichzeitig eben jedem Einzelnen und jeder Einzelnen ermöglicht, wirklich sich bestmöglich zu entfalten und in ihren eigenen Wachstumsprozess zu gehen. Das heißt, wenn wir unsere Arbeitswelt genauso ausrichten, dass wir gucken, wie können wir damit bestmöglich den einzelnen Menschen gerecht werden und den Bedürfnissen, sodass sie wirklich selbstbestimmt arbeiten können, dass sie das machen können, was sie wirklich mit Sinn erfüllt und gleichzeitig eben ihnen auch beste Entwicklungsmöglichkeiten gibt, dann können wir dadurch uns auf eine Art und Weise miteinander verbinden, dass wir ganz neue Ergebnisse erzielen. Und das klassische Bild ist eben die Schwarmintelligenz. Kollektive Führung ist für uns eine Möglichkeit, uns auf eine Art und Weise selbst zu organisieren, dass etwas entsteht, was in der Summe dann größer ist als die einzelnen Teile. Dieses schöne Emergenzphänomen, wo wir plötzlich Dinge tun, die irgendwie auf eine Art und Weise miteinander vernetzt sind und trotzdem jeder auch unabhängig voneinander arbeiten kann. Dass wir in einer viel größeren Freiheit miteinander arbeiten können und gleichzeitig uns aber gemeinsam ausrichten an einem größeren Ziel. Das bedeutet für uns auch nicht, dass wir plötzlich keine Hierarchien mehr haben. Ein wesentlicher Unterschied ist für uns einfach, dass wir von klassisch vorgeschriebenen Machthierarchien, die eben durch Rollen in Organisationen festgeschrieben sind, viel stärker übergehen zu Kompetenzhierarchien und dass dadurch Führung viel dynamischer wird und auch viel schneller sich die Führungsrolle wechseln kann. Und diejenige Person, die in der jeweiligen Situation die höchste Kompetenz hat, dann auch die Person ist, die entsprechend die Führungsinitiative übernimmt. Und dass das nicht mehr so stark an Ego und Macht gebunden ist, sondern vielmehr daran, wer hat denn gerade wirklich Lust, was zu tun und wer ist denn gerade wirklich geeignet. Und dadurch wird vielleicht schon deutlich, dass das ein sehr, sehr grundlegender Wandel ist, der erstmal vielleicht trivial klingt, aber auch relativ schnell klar wird, das braucht ganz neue Kompetenzen. Wir müssen ganz viel der Arten, wie wir uns bisher organisiert haben, auch loslassen. Und da hängen auch viele sehr intensive persönliche Prozesse mit dran. Wenn jemand 30 Jahre in einer Führungsposition war und darüber sehr stark seine eigene Identität auch definiert hat, ist es oftmals ein herausfordernder Persönlichkeitswachstumsprozess, auch zu sagen, ich gebe diese Führungsrolle jetzt ab und überlasse anderen mehr die Führungsrolle, damit wir kollektiv bessere Ergebnisse erzielen. Momentan ist es leider noch so, dass wir kollektiv Ergebnisse erzielen, die individuell eigentlich niemand möchte. Kollektive Führung ist für uns ein Ansatz zu gucken, wie können wir eigentlich kollektiv bessere Ergebnisse erzielen, die mehr dem entspricht, was jeder Einzelne von uns auch in der Welt eigentlich sehen möchte. Das war jetzt ein sehr abstrakter, globaler Überblick über New Work und wie wir das verstehen. Ich würde es gerne noch mal zum Abschluss ein bisschen konkreter machen. Wer von euch kennt das, nach einem Meeting weniger verbunden mit den Menschen zu sein und mit weniger Energie rauszugehen, als ihr reingegangen seid? Wahrscheinlich die meisten. Irgendwann mal im Laufe der Karriere erlebt. Das ist für uns ein toller Ansatzpunkt zu sagen, hey, da können wir doch was lernen. Da wird für uns deutlich, da ist irgendwie eine Spannung, die ein Potenzial offenbaren kann. Und wenn wir dieser Spannung nachgehen und merken, was ist denn das? Wenn wir uns mal die Art und Weise, wie wir uns organisieren und wie wir unsere Meetings gestalten, anschauen, was können wir denn daraus lernen? Und es gibt viele tolle Tools und Methoden, wie man seine Meetings durch relativ einfache Maßnahmen verbessern kann. Was uns aber viel wichtiger ist, ist zu gucken, was sind denn so Prinzipien, die dahinter liegen, die all diese Methoden gemeinsam haben. Und aus der Art und Weise, wie wir in den letzten 7 Jahren zusammengearbeitet haben, haben wir 6 Prinzipien abgeleitet, nach denen wir arbeiten. Und 2 davon mag ich ganz kurz vorstellen. Das eine Prinzip ist verantwortliche Freiheit statt starrer Regeln. Das bedeutet, wir trauen uns gegenseitig zu, dass wir Verantwortung für unsere eigenen Bedürfnisse übernehmen können. Und das bedeutet zum Beispiel, wenn ich in einem Meeting das Gefühl habe, ich kann hier nichts mehr beitragen oder ich kann hier auch nichts mehr lernen, dann habe ich die Freiheit, einfach auch aus dem Meeting zu gehen. Und dann sind die anderen mir nicht böse und wir lassen los diese Ideen von Schuld und Scham, sondern vertrauen darauf, dass die andere Person die beste Entscheidung für sie getroffen hat. Und oftmals haben wir erlebt, dass dann auch in der Gruppe der Menschen, die bleibt, die Energie plötzlich ansteigt, wenn eine Person, die sich da gerade nicht am richtigen Platz fühlt, auch einfach rausgeht. Und das zweite Prinzip bei uns sind dynamische Entscheidungen. Das heißt, Entscheidungen sind für uns nicht in Stein gemeißelt, sondern wir machen das, was oft eben auch als Rapid Prototyping bezeichnet wird. Wir treffen schnelle Entscheidungen in dem Bewusstsein, dass wir nicht die perfekte Lösung suchen, sondern eine funktionierende Lösung, die sicher genug ist, sie mal auszuprobieren. Und dann haben wir auch die Möglichkeit, diese Entscheidung immer wieder zu überdenken und zu gucken, müssen wir vielleicht anpassen. Aber das macht uns handlungsfähig. Und wir sagen auch nicht, dass jeder immer bei jeder Entscheidung dabei sein muss, sondern tatsächlich auch nur die Menschen, die es betrifft oder die gerade auch damit einbezogen werden wollen. Das sind so 2 Prinzipien, die uns helfen, unsere Arbeit einfach dynamischer, agiler zu machen und aber eben gleichzeitig auch unsere Selbstbestimmung und unsere eigene Freude, unsere eigene Erfüllung an der Arbeit auch zu vertiefen, während wir gleichzeitig dadurch einfach auch effektiver, wirksamer in der Welt werden. Das mal so als kurzer Eröffnungsimpuls zu dem, wie wir New Work sehen. Und wer sich nochmal für das Wie interessiert, wie wir das genau umsetzen, wir machen um 11.30 Uhr nochmal einen Workshop, um das zu vertiefen. Und ich freue mich, das jetzt hier im Panel auch nochmal auszubreiten.
Vielen Dank, Jonathan. Kurz bevor ich in den Übergang in den Workshop mache, wie ihr wisst, wir nutzen Slido. Das heißt, wir hätten gerne einen sehr interaktiven Panel-Austausch mit euch. Das heißt, ihr habt die Möglichkeit, eure Fragen in Slido zu stellen. Wir werden sicherstellen, dass wir sie entweder in diese Panel-Diskussion mit einfließen lassen oder am Ende uns noch Zeit für eure Fragen nehmen. Also bitte einfach eure Fragen über Slido stellen. Wunderbar. Das Thema New Work auf Deutsch, neue Arbeit. Ein Thema, was, wenn man sich etwas damit beschäftigt, scheinbar überall zu sehen ist, in den Medien, digital, in den Newspaper, überall. Ein Thema, was sehr stark, wir haben schon gehört, beeinflusst und geprägt ist durch Digitalisierung, Globalisierung, Generationswandel. Und ich glaube, Stichwort Generation Y und Z sieht man auch überall, zu denen ich nicht gehöre. Das heißt sozusagen die nachkommende Generation. Werte- und Bewusstseinswandel, wie du schon angesprochen hast, Jonathan. All diese Themen beeinflussen, wie wir heute arbeiten und wie wir natürlich zukünftig arbeiten werden. Allein wenn man sich, wie gesagt, den Generationswandel anschaut, Studien besagen, in nur 7 Jahren werden 75% der globalen Workforce aus der Generation Y und Z bestehen. Für diese Generation und wie du sagst, Jonathan, nicht nur für diese Generation, steht sehr im Mittelpunkt das Thema Selbstverwirklichung und sich mit etwas beschäftigen, was einen Sinn und Zweck erfüllt. Also wirklich so die Suche nach etwas Sinnvollen. Meiner Meinung nach ist die Musikbranche ein perfektes Exempel oder Beispiel dafür, weil ich glaube, gerade das, wenn man mal sagt, das Produkt Musik eigentlich genau das mitbringt für viele, viele Menschen. Daraus ergibt sich natürlich für die Musikbranche eine Chance, sich abzuheben von anderen Industrien und Bereichen. Aber wir wissen, da wo Chancen sind, gibt es auch immer Herausforderungen. Unter anderem wissen wir, dass die Musikbranche eine Branche ist, die sehr stark von Digitalisierung und neuen Technologien beeinflusst wurde und wird. Dadurch entstehen natürlich sich sehr schnell verändernde und neue Geschäftsmodelle wie Rahmenbedingungen, das wiederum erfordert ein hohes Maß an zunehmender Flexibilität auf Arbeitgeber- und Arbeitnehmerseite. Genau zu diesen Themen und Impulsen, würde ich mal sagen, möchte ich mit diesen wirklich sehr, sehr spannenden 2 Panelisten oder Panel-Teilnehmern sprechen, die, ich glaube, wenn ich euren Background sehe, gar nicht unterschiedlicher sein können. Aber ein gemeinsames Thema haben, nämlich das Thema neue Arbeit, New Work. Herzlich willkommen nochmal Jonathan Claude vom Leadership Hoch 3 und Dennis Rorsana von der Bundesvereinigung der deutschen Arbeitgeberverbände. Dennis, vielleicht fangen wir mit dir an. Ich glaube, ganz spannend wäre nochmal von dir zu hören, wer bist du und wie bist du zu diesem Thema New Work gekommen?
Ja, wer bin ich? Das hast du jetzt schon gesagt, so ein bisschen. Ich komme tatsächlich gar nicht so sehr aus der Ecke Digitalisierung ursprünglich. Ich komme ganz ursprünglich, deswegen bin ich ja gar nicht so falsch, aus der Musik. Habe mich dann aber dafür entschieden, was Anständiges zu lernen und habe dann so das Musikersein so ein bisschen aufgegeben und bin eigentlich Wirtschaftswissenschaftler mit Schwerpunkt Transformationsstudien, habe mich auch schwerpunktmäßig vor allem mit Mittelosteuropa unterhalten, bin dann über diese Transformationsstudien zum Thema Digitalisierung gekommen, weil natürlich Digitalisierung, also Digital Transformation, sagt es ja schon, die große Transformation der Zeit, nicht nur in der Wirtschaft, sondern in der gesamten Gesellschaft ist. Und ich bin gleich nach dem Studium schon bei der BDA eingestiegen, war da noch zwischendurch bei anderen Arbeitgebern, war unter anderem auch im Auswärtigen Amt und bin jetzt zurückgeholt worden, um dort, wohlgemerkt, den Bereich Digitalisierung mit aufzubauen. Das heißt, zeigt auch ein bisschen, dass das muss man auch ohne Scham oder vielleicht mit ein bisschen Scham eingestehen, dass die Old Economy das Thema zum großen Teil doch verschlafen hat. Und jetzt, so die letzten 1-2 Jahre, wo man ja auch sieht, dass das in der öffentlichen Diskussion ein unglaublicher Hype ist, jetzt ja das Thema Digitalisierung, jetzt tatsächlich gemerkt hat, wir müssen da wirklich mit ordentlich Speed dahinter aufholen. Und das passiert jetzt und wir bauen den Bereich jetzt auf und gerade das Thema New Work, das zeigt ja auch das Panel hier, ist eben ein Thema, was wirklich alle beschäftigt und sei es vom kleinen Handwerksbetrieb bis zum Weltkonzern und egal welche Branche, von der Kreativbranche bis zu den unkreativsten Branchen, die man sich vorstellen könnte. Aber das Thema ist wirklich überall präsent und wird überall diskutiert. Und ich glaube auch keine einzige Branche, auch wenn es da natürlich dann Unterschiede in der Intensität gibt, aber keine einzige Branche wird sich dem entziehen können.
Nee. Welche Rolle spielt dann deiner Meinung nach Digitalisierung in dem Thema New Work?
Naja, das ganze Thema New Work macht ja als Thema nur Sinn, wenn man es digital denkt. Und es ist ja so, digitale Technologien sind ja nichts Neues. Mhm. Und wir hatten verschiedene Phasen. Die Computer, also die Personalcomputer waren die erste Phase der Digitalisierung sozusagen. Das ist ja schon echt eine Weile her. Dann kam das Internet und im Grunde genommen baut das ja alles aufeinander auf. Und jetzt kommen eben diese neuen Technologien, Künstliche Intelligenz, die Cloud. Das wird auch oft so ein bisschen meiner Meinung nach in den Hintergrund geschoben. Die Cloud ist eigentlich das Entscheidende. Ohne Cloud-Technologie wird auch das alle andere, Internet der Dinge, Künstliche Intelligenz, das wird alles nicht fliegen ohne das. Und das sind jetzt Themen, die eben nochmal einen massiven Wandel der gesamten Wirtschaft und auch der gesamten Arbeitswelt nach sich ziehen. Ich glaube, man kann sagen, noch mehr, als es das Internet gemacht hat. Und das wird natürlich Arbeit massiv verändern. Wir haben es vorhin schon gehört. Es wird viel flexibler, es wird viel mehr Selbstorganisation sein. Hierarchien werden aufgebrochen. Das ist ja ganz klar. Also man muss nur das Beispiel Wikipedia sehen. Ja. Früher, also zum Beispiel nehmen wir die Schule, ja, also jetzt nicht Arbeit, aber da war der Lehrer war allwissend und der Schüler war blöd. Und der Schüler hat geglaubt, was der Lehrer gesagt hat, selbst wenn es der letzte Mist war, den der Lehrer erzählt hat. Heute ist es anders. Heute kann der Lehrer nicht mehr Mist erzählen, weil der Schüler hat Wikipedia und guckt einfach nach und sagt, du hast Mist erzählt. Und das ändert sich eben auch im Arbeitsleben. Also es gibt eben nicht mehr dieses Macht, also es gibt es natürlich schon noch in Teilen, ja, Machtwissen, weil wer in engen Zirkeln dabei ist, weiß halt mehr als jemand, der nicht dabei ist. Aber so grundsätzlich dieses Machtwissen, jemand, der halt schon 20 Jahre im Beruf ist, weiß alles und wer neu dazukommt, weiß nichts. So ist es halt nicht mehr, weil die Information allgegenwärtig ist und zugänglich und man heute nicht mehr Informationen in enge Räume eingrenzen kann und verheimlichen kann, sondern und das ändert eben dann auch das Miteinander im Unternehmen, am Arbeitsplatz. Die Hierarchien werden flacher. Es ist viel mehr Interagieren auf Augenhöhe. Und das merke ich persönlich auch. Also wenn wir heute junge Kollegen reinbekommen, ich meine, ich bin jetzt auch nicht so alt, aber ich rede schon über junge Kollegen. Ja? Also wenn wir jetzt junge Kollegen reinbekommen, dann fällt das schon auf, also mir fällt es auf, dass die viel mehr wissen,
Ja.
und als ich das wusste, als ich angefangen habe zu arbeiten. Und das ist wirklich weil die Information einfach da ist und die sie wirklich konsumieren, aufsaugen und dann auch direkt verwerten. Also es ist dann, ich will jetzt nicht zu lange reden, aber das ist dann auch eine Art der Kompetenz, wie gehe ich dann damit um, mit dieser Informationsfülle und mit diesen neuen Medien, die da sind, mit diesen neuen digitalen Möglichkeiten. Und das können die. Und die können sich dann wirklich die Informationen auch raussaugen, die sie brauchen, die verarbeiten und sind dann halt mit Anfang 20 schon im Job und sind eigentlich schon fast Experten. Ja. Und das ist halt auch wirklich eine Riesenchance für junge Leute. Und das wird unser Arbeiten komplett verändern. Letzte Bemerkung, nur um auch darauf nochmal einzugehen. Das ändert dann eben auch die Erwartungen dieser jungen Leute, ne, an den Job, an den Arbeitgeber. Die kommen halt nicht mehr als die kleinen Greenhorns, die überhaupt keine Ahnung haben und jetzt einfach nur mit staunenden Auges da auf ihre älteren Kollegen und Vorgesetzten blicken, sondern die sind halt schon mit einem ganz anderen Background, kommen die in den Job rein, haben ganz andere Erwartungen an Arbeitgeber, ganz andere Erwartungen an ihre Karriere. Und das ist dann eben auch eine Riesenherausforderung an Vorgesetzte, an Arbeitgeber, an die Unternehmen.
Perfekte Überleitung, danke dafür. Jonathan, sehr, 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 sehr spannender Vortrag, auch viele Impulse drin und auch tatsächlich ein Thema, über das ich kontinuierlich nachdenke, wie ich sozusagen auch meine kleine Organisation umstrukturieren kann, um genau dieses Expertentum nach oben zu heben, beziehungsweise wirklich die Masse an Ressourcen und Knowledge, was wir haben, zu integrieren. Jetzt gibt es ja schon viele Unternehmen oder einige Unternehmen, die mit diesem Thema Selbstorganisation experimentieren und auch sehr erfolgreich schon arbeiten. Ich habe gesehen, online ein bisschen recherchiert, auch nochmal, dass auch zum Beispiel Spotify das macht. Die sprechen da von Squads und Tribes und machen das scheinbar alles führungslos und organisieren sich. Wie genau funktionieren dann solche selbstorganisierten Teams oder was genau machen die? Wie arbeiten die?
Ich glaube, ein großes Missverständnis ist, dass man tatsächlich denkt, die arbeiten führungslos. Ich glaube, was ein ganz wesentlicher Unterschied ist, dass Führung einfach ganz anders gelebt ist und deswegen manchmal nicht als die Form von Führung erkannt wird, die wir normalerweise damit assoziieren. Das heißt, Führung ist viel dezentraler organisiert und innerhalb dieser Squads oder Tribes gibt es dann immer noch Führungsimpulse, die aber nicht mehr so stark an der Hierarchie und an der Rolle oder an der Person hängen, sondern dann viel stärker eben auch in Teams aufgeteilt ist. Und dass es nicht mehr den einen Fachexperten gibt, sondern dann viel stärker auch sich die Art der Führung verändert in eine Form, die viel mehr dazu auch dient, Menschen zu unterstützen, sich selbst zu ermächtigen. Die Rolle der Führungskraft verändert sich insofern viel stärker als jemand, der so den Raum ermöglicht, dass andere ihre Arbeit gut machen können, der Teams den Rücken frei hält und Schnittstellen zu anderen Bereichen ermöglicht und viel stärker eben auch als Coach arbeitet. Und darüber hinaus passiert dann ganz viel von Führungsentscheidungen eben auf einer Teamebene sehr autonom oder teilautonom. Dass es zwar eine gemeinsame Ausrichtung innerhalb der Organisation gibt, die alle selbstorganisierten Teams dann sozusagen miteinander verbindet, aber dass innerhalb der Teams die Art und Weise, wie und teilweise sogar auch schon was dann getan wird, viel stärker von den einzelnen Teammitgliedern auch organisiert wird und da werden dann eben auch Technologien genutzt wie Slack und Kanban und Scrum und all solche agilen Methoden eben auch, die diese Prozesse unterstützen und die viel stärker eben auch so einen Informationsfluss ermöglichen, der viel mehr Transparenz schafft, dass alle genau wissen, wo passt mein kleiner Beitrag denn jetzt hier ins größere Ganze auch mit rein.
Wunderbar. Ich würde tatsächlich gleich eine Frage aufgreifen, die wunderbar passt zu dem, was du gesagt hast, Jonathan. Wer übernimmt die Verantwortung für den Prozess, kollektiv getroffene Entscheidungen, wie zum Beispiel Budget? Wer hält am Ende den Kopf für das Kollektiv hin?
Ist eine total spannende Frage, die immer sehr individuell eben dann auch gehandhabt wird. Und es hängt sehr stark eben auch vom Reifegrad der Organisation und der jeweiligen Menschen in dieser Organisation ab. Und das reicht eben von der ganz klassischen Fremdbestimmung, die vollständig fremdorganisiert ist, bis hin zu komplett demokratischen Unternehmensstrukturen. Das ist so die Bandbreite und dazwischen gibt es dann eben teilweise Delegationen, wo Menschen dann in Beratungsprozessen mit eingeschlossen werden, wo die Meinung von anderen gehört wird, wo Entscheidungen teilweise delegiert werden und es eben so einen Advisory-Prozess gibt. Aber die Verantwortung letztendlich dann eben immer auch viel stärker an die Personen herangetragen wird, die dann eben auch die Entscheidung treffen und sich somit eben auch die Verantwortung viel kollektiver teilt.
Du hast es ja vorhin schon mal so ein bisschen angesprochen. Was ist denn deiner Meinung nach so sind die Unterschiede zwischen sozusagen den alten Führungsstilen versus den neuen Führungsstilen? Oder was ist das, was sozusagen die Führungskräfte von heute, von morgen wirklich mitbringen müssen?
Ich glaube, es hat ganz viel mit einem Menschenbild zu tun, mit dem wir einander begegnen. Während das alte Führungsverständnis, was ich eben so als dieses lineare, industrielle, teilweise auch noch als Management abgegrenzte Führungsverständnis benannt habe, sich sehr stark eben auf dieses Command and Control bezogen hat, ne? Wo es sehr stark darum ging, einheitliche Prozesse zu standardisieren, geht es bei dem neuen Leadership-Verständnis wirklich sehr stark darum, eigentlich einen Raum zu schaffen, in dem Selbstorganisation passieren kann. Also eine ganz zentrale Kompetenz ist eben, sich empathisch auf andere Menschen einzustimmen, einzuschätzen, was ist eigentlich gerade dein nächstmöglicher Schritt in Bezug auf Selbstorganisation, wie kann ich dich bestmöglich unterstützen, an deinen Platz zu kommen und Verantwortung zu übernehmen und dann viel stärker eben als Coach zu interagieren, anstatt als Manager, der anderen sagt, was sie zu tun haben. Das sehe ich als so eine ganz zentrale Kompetenz und dann eben Kommunikationskompetenzen. Wirklich auf eine Art und Weise miteinander zu kommunizieren, dass mehr unserer Intelligenz eigentlich auch zutage gefördert wird. Eben nicht nur die rationale, mentale Intelligenz, sondern viel stärker auch unsere emotionale Intelligenz, unsere körperliche Intelligenz und sogar unsere intuitive Kompetenz, auf diesen verschiedenen Ebenen miteinander kommunizieren zu können und eben auch über verschiedene Bereiche hinweg kommunizieren zu können. Das ermöglicht eigentlich erst das ganze Wissen, die ganze Intelligenz, die innerhalb einer Organisation, innerhalb eines Teams oder auch innerhalb unseres persönlichen Systems, unserer Body-Mind-Maschine eben auch zutage zu fördern.
Dennis, Digitalisierung, neue Technologien, welche Bedeutung hat dann am Ende des Tages zukünftig noch das Büro?
Das kommt drauf an. Also vielleicht anschließend an das, was Jonathan gesagt hat, es ist ja nicht so, dass die alte Arbeitswelt komplett verschwindet. Also selbst wenn wir wollten, dass sie komplett verschwindet, sie wird nicht komplett verschwinden, weil es gibt viele Bereiche, auch in der Wirtschaft, die werden nicht agil werden. Und da wird es noch die lineare Methode geben. Also die Industrie ist ein gutes Beispiel. Natürlich im Bereich Entwicklung, im Bereich Strategie, im Bereich Personalentwicklung, da wird es agiler werden. Da wird es auch schon agiler. Da sind auch schon viele Industrieunternehmen, selbst mittelständische auch, schon voll dabei. Aber in der Produktion zum Beispiel wird es weiterhin linear bleiben. Es ist weiterhin Command and Control. Das geht auch gar nicht anders. Aber der Punkt ist tatsächlich, wenn viele Bereiche in der Wirtschaft, auch in der Verwaltung natürlich, in der öffentlichen, sich agiler werden, sich verändern, alles flexibler wird, dann wird natürlich auch das Büro als Arbeitsplatz seinen Exklusivstatus aufgeben. Also mobile Arbeit, flexible Arbeitszeitgestaltung, das ist ja alles läuft ja alles genau darauf hinaus, dass man eben nicht mehr von 9 bis 17 Uhr oder wann auch immer im Büro sitzt und dann den Stift fallen lässt, geht und mit der Arbeit nichts mehr zu tun hat, sondern es ist eben genau dieses Work-Life-Blending, dass man als Arbeitnehmer dann selbst auch sowohl Ort als auch Arbeitszeit mehr oder weniger frei gestalten kann. Und dann ist eben der Arbeitsort im besten Fall oder im schlimmsten, je nachdem, wie man sieht, überall. Ja, dann ist das Büro natürlich ein Arbeitsort und es wird auch weiterhin wichtiger bleiben, weil da eben auch vor allem der Austausch mit den Kollegen, mit den Vorgesetzten, mit wem auch immer stattfindet. Aber es wird genauso der heimische Küchentisch, der Park, die Bahn, ich weiß nicht, das Flugzeug, das Café sein, ja, wo man arbeitet oder wo immer man arbeiten will. Also da wird, glaube ich, da ist schon eine Veränderung in Gange. Und das hat dann auch, das führt jetzt aber vielleicht ein bisschen zu weit, das hat natürlich dann auch Auswirkungen auf die Gestaltung der Büros. Das hatten wir vorhin auch, wie werden Arbeitsplätze gestalten. Die werden natürlich auch massiv umgestaltet. Also das Einzelbüro wird, glaube ich, auch nur noch für gewisse Berufsgruppen interessant sein.
Ja, man hört Begriffe wie Gig Economy, wirklich kurzzeitige befristete Projekte, ja, also glaube ich auch ein Thema sozusagen, gerade in der Kombination, man nennt es War of Talent, for Talent, also War of Talent, also das Expertenwissen, von dem ihr sozusagen sprecht, wirklich auch als Arbeitnehmer zu gewinnen, auch ein Thema, was in der Musikbranche sehr, sehr wichtig ist. Vielleicht an euch beide in eigenen Worten, wie können sich denn Arbeitgeber auf genau solche Projektzeiten oder also um dieses Expertentum quasi in kurzen Projekten oder für Projekte für sich zu gewinnen. Ist da was, wie sich Arbeitgeber darauf vorbereiten können, Leute halt projektbasiert einzustellen versus, wie man es kennt, Vollzeit?
Ich fange einfach mal an. Es gibt ja kaum eine Branche, die so erfahren ist mit Blick auf Gigwork, wie es die Musikbranche ist. Denn mein Eindruck ist ja, dass da schon seit Jahrzehnten vor allem Gigwork am Laufen ist. Es kommt immer mehr, das tatsächlich auch in die, in Anführungszeichen, Realwirtschaft. Es ist ein Problem tatsächlich für die Arbeitgeber. Gar nicht so sehr, dass sie nicht wollen, die wollen schon. Sie brauchen es auch, weil so ein kleines mittelständisches Unternehmen, die haben keinen Scrum Master, die haben keinen KI-Experten, aber die brauchen die Leute natürlich. Aber das ist vor allem auch ein arbeitsrechtliches Problem, weil gerade bei so agilen Teams, wenn da externe Experten kommen, die man ja dafür auch braucht in vielen Unternehmen, dann ist die Frage, wie können die arbeitsrechtlich überhaupt integriert werden in so ein Team, das ja zum größten Teil aus sozialversicherungspflichtig Beschäftigten besteht, also aus Angestellten. Und dann kommt da so ein Selbstständiger, der ja weisungsfrei sein muss, also dem darf ich ja als Arbeitgeber dann keine Weisung erteilen, sonst wäre er nicht mehr selbstständig und dem darf ich auch nicht sagen, wann er zu arbeiten hat und wie und wo und so weiter. Und das ist natürlich sehr, sehr schwierig und gibt es erhebliche arbeitsrechtliche Probleme, da bewegt man sich auch in Grauzonen und das ist dann sowas, wo wir als Lobbyvereinigung, die wir ja dann am Ende des Tages sind, dann auch Lösungen finden mit den Unternehmen und dann auf die Politik zugehen. Aber das ist wirklich ein Punkt, das treibt viele Unternehmen um.
Ich habe gesehen, da waren eine Menge Fragen, auch noch über Slido reingekommen. Wir sind hier nach diesem Vortrag hier vorne links in der Speaker Lounge sprecht uns bitte an zu den Fragen, die da oben waren. Ich habe sie nicht ignoriert. Vielleicht dadurch, dass wir noch eine Minute haben. Bei dieser ganzen, oder wir haben jetzt mit dieser Diskussion und auch mit dem Impulsvortrag gesehen, dass dieses Thema New Work ein sehr, 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 sehr vielschichtiges ist. Wenn ihr sozusagen der Runde hier einen Rat geben könnt, wie fängt man damit an? Oder was sind so die wichtigsten Themen eurer Meinung nach? Implementiert man alles auf einmal oder gibt es eurer Meinung nach ein Thema, was ihr rausgreifen würdet, um sich da draußen sozusagen auch als ein attraktiver Arbeitgeber zu positionieren?
Also es gibt tatsächlich viele Strategien, wie man so eine Organisationstransformation angehen kann. Mein Rat wäre zu gucken, wo ist eigentlich in unserer Organisation gerade die größte Spannung? Wo entstehen gerade so die größten Schmerzen und Herausforderungen? Und das so als Symptom zu sehen, von da aus tiefer zu gehen. Wie können wir da vielleicht kurzfristig eine Linderung schaffen und dann das aber nutzen, um eine größere Diskussion innerhalb unserer Organisation darüber anzustoßen, was wir eigentlich grundlegend verändern müssen. Und ein klassisches Beispiel hatte ich ja eben schon genannt, wäre so das Thema Meetings. Wie können wir zum Beispiel unsere Meetings durch kleine Maßnahmen effektiv verbessern? Eine ganz simple Sache, die wir immer machen, ist, wir starten jedes Meeting mit einem Check-in. Jeder bekommt erstmal einen kurzen Moment, um zu sagen, wie geht es mir eigentlich persönlich, einerseits um wirklich ganz anzukommen als Mensch und aber auch zu wissen, hey, hat die Person vielleicht einfach schlecht geschlafen und ist deswegen nicht ganz top leistungsfähig heute.
Super. Dennis?
Ja, im Grunde genommen ist das genau der Punkt. Also als Arbeitgeber, als Unternehmen, man muss so ein bisschen in sich gehen und schauen, wo ist der Handlungsbedarf und bringen mir da diese neuen Methoden überhaupt was. Das gilt generell für digitale Methoden, jetzt nicht nur mit Blick auf Arbeitsorganisationen. Weil ich glaube, was im Moment noch viel passiert, dadurch, dass es so ein Hype-Thema ist, ist halt dieses, wir müssen jetzt unbedingt. Ja. Und dann wird einfach irgendein Schmuh gemacht, damit man auch digital ist und dann kann man allen sagen, wir sind jetzt auch digital, aber es bringt einem nichts. Ja. Und das ist eher man braucht eine strategische Herangehensweise als Arbeitgeber, aber eben auch als Arbeitnehmer. Also muss auch als Arbeitnehmer überlegen, okay, wenn ich mehr so in Richtung agiler Arbeitnehmer und New Work und so weiter gehen will, wie mache ich das und was sind meine Stärken und wie kann ich diese Stärken in diesem Bereich einbringen und nicht einfach sagen, ich bin jetzt agil, ich bin jetzt mega kommunikativ und laterale Führung, also das heißt Führung ohne Führungsverantwortung und sowas, aber im Grunde genommen kann man das alles gar nicht. Ja, also man muss dann auch, Arbeitgeber wie Arbeitnehmer müssen halt schauen, was sind meine Probleme, was sind meine Stärken und wie kann ich das eben in diesen Kontext am besten einbringen.
Wunderbar. Ja, die Zeit ist viel zu kurz für dieses riesige Thema und ich glaube, wir könnten ja auch noch 2 Stunden weiterreden. Wie gesagt, sprecht uns bitte gerne draußen an. Wir sind mindestens 15, 20 Minuten noch da und diskutieren gerne mit euch weiter. Ich hoffe, wir konnten euch ein paar Impulse mitgeben und freuen uns auf weitere Gespräche vorne. Vielen, vielen Dank.
Gut. Genau, wir bauen ein paar Minuten um und dann bin ich gleich wieder bei euch. Wir können ja währenddessen vielleicht mal Slido üben. Perfekt, Leute, loggt euch mal da ein und dann probieren wir es einfach mal aus, eine Frage zu stellen. Und dann erkläre ich euch das noch ein bisschen. Das ist nämlich echt ein cooles System. Alle Mann die Handys raus. Ich sehe sie noch nicht. So, ich denke, wir sind hier gleich soweit. Ich kann euch ja schon mal ein bisschen was erzählen über die nächste Session, die passiert. Ich werde jetzt mal auf Englisch switchen, denn die Session wird auf Englisch sein. So, the next session is called The Labels of Tomorrow, How Technology is Changing the Music Industry Forever. The thing is, the role of record labels, of music business, has changed dramatically. Major labels offered to artists are today things every artist can do for himself. I mean, you can get to Spotify just by yourself. We just learned it yesterday that there's a new option with Spotify and artists. I think we already had a workshop. And we want to discuss how the labels of tomorrow work. And we want to discuss it with Muki Kulan, who's going to be the moderator for us. Muki, please come on stage. She's the executive digital producer from Muki International Limited. We have Klaus Harwillig. Hallo Klaus. Co-founder and CEO of Black One Entertainment Group. We have Tom Neubau, COO of K7 Music. Herzlich willkommen. And we have Karl Gödicke, founder and chief from Blockchain Records. So I'm going to pass the microphone to Muki and have a great session.
Are we awake? Hello. Dankeschön, Dankeschön. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hi. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are very happy that you've decided to make it today. If we do catch anyone falling asleep, we all have a microphone and we could just be starting to like bash each other. So thanks for that lovely intro. Again, my name is Muki. I am an executive digital producer, and what that means is that I've been in the digital space for a very long time. We call them digital fossils or dinosaurs. So I started at MTV back in the days, building the websites and red button stuff and early interactive things in the O's, and left about 10 years ago to start my own digital production company. And with that is cross-platform, working with every record label and artist and brands and management under the sun, cross-platforms and in the immersive space, which we'll talk about a little bit later at 3 o'clock. But without further ado, let's get to the nitty-gritty, boys. I've got an esteemed panel. Thank you for that round of applause in the back with the glass. I've got an esteemed panel to my right. I've got Klaus, then Tom, then Carl Oliver, which we'll just say by day Carl. Oliver? Ollie. Okay.
Please, Ollie.
Please, Ollie. Okay. He's an enigma. He's a man of many talents. So, guys, let's just go down the line, give a quick introduction about yourself and what you do, and then we'll get stuck into why we're here. But I also want to hear, when you do your introduction, what is the thing that got you into music in the first place, that kind of brought your butt to be sitting where we are today? So, Klaus, willkommen.
Okay. Is this on? Okay, great. Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Klaus. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Black One Entertainment, like a next generation modern integrated entertainment company, what we would call it. These kind of entertainment companies you can only find in Asia so far. So to my background, I've lived for a long time in South Korea. I've worked with K-pop companies. Some of you may know what K-pop is. And what we do is we bring the best parts of this approach, how you discover and develop talent and how you enable them like into long careers over to here. And yeah, so we are like one creative playground, a modern entertainment company.
And your first taste of music?
Like way back, I mean, I grew up with MTV and I was a fan of Britney Spears and like those pop stars. I mean, yeah.
Hit me,
like,
baby. Tell
yeah,
it like it is.
and it's kind of missing nowadays. That's our like opinion, like those, you know, people who can sing and dance at the same time and are really great performers. And then we think there are like different reasons to it why that is.
Which we'll do a deep dive into that later. So from K-pop to K7.
Okay.
Hello, Tom, welcome.
Hello. So my name is Tom Liebebuhr. I'm head of operations at K7. We are a traditional record company, or used to be a traditional record company, and by now we are offering all sorts of services. So we are a label service company, we are doing artist management, we have a handful of sub-labels. Yeah, so my first contact to music is probably when I was at the age of 5 years, and my parents more or less forced me to learn piano, and I switched to the electric guitar when I was 11, I think, and then I started to do some proper hardcore music with my friends. So.
And you've never looked back since?
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, and then it evolved over time, and yeah, basically in the 1990s, electronic music came into play, and this is where I got dragged into.
Perfect. And hello, Ollie.
Hello, my name is Ollie, and I'm in the music business for 38 years. And I started as a DJ at the early age of 14, where I had my first paid gigs, then evolved as a music producer, label owner. I still run traditional labels. I became an artist manager 2 years ago. So I do actually everything surrounded by music, work for major companies. And then I saw there is a big difference from the traditional way of consuming music towards now newest technologies. And I thought the next step for me is blockchain technology, to use that with music. And so we founded Blockchain Records.
So from a 14-year-old DJ to a piano prodigy to Britney Spears. Let's get stuck in,
okay,
guys.
I wasn't a fan of Britney Spears, but
were you?
Was more James Brown and kind of stuff.
Well, funny, we have a photo of you dressed up as Britney. No, but that would be funny, wouldn't it?
I really want to see that.
I'll find it. Don't worry. We work in digital. We can hack anything. So I know we're here to talk about the labels of today and where we are with technology and how things have changed so much. And whether you are new to this industry, say in the last 5 years, or have been doing it for a while and have seen this shift and change growth, I thought it'd be good to kind of just do a Wayne's World style throwback of what a record label meant to an artist and to the fans. And Tom, we were talking out in the lobby earlier, like, you know, the beginnings of record labels, knowing how important it was, and then the machines in the world. But let's just kind of go back maybe the last 15 years. The labels of yesteryear, like what did a record label mean for the music industry even 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah, so 15, 20 years ago, probably record labels were the ones who gave you entry into the market, and this was the biggest thing probably for an artist. So to find someone who believes in your music and then give you the opportunity to build you up, give you access, press your CDs or vinyl, and push it into the market, into the distribution network. And yeah, as music consumption changed over time, today it's a little bit different. So
it is. So it still serves. Do you think it still serves a purpose from what a label was like even 10 years ago. So that was like 15, 20 years ago. So Ollie,
you're asking me.
well, I am looking at you in the eyes.
No, I definitely think they don't anymore. I mean, if you see the change of the business model of the music business, easiest comparison is like back in the days when the business model was like, oh, I want to sell sound carriers. The business model was like, I have an album or a single and I go on tour to promote the sales. And now actually music became a product that you need actually to promote touring, because the main income source actually is touring. Some exceptions sometimes occur with a big artist. And back in the days, they actually were like, Tom had a very good point, raised a very good point. When the increase of the CDs sales came, everybody was like, wow, we are in a boom time. It was a fake boom, like Tom mentioned before, because it was just people bought CDs from all the catalog they had on vinyl before. And then they were like, these are the golden times. And
format changing.
Format changing. It was a format change. And then the labels stopped actually having a risk. Because when everything turned digital, marginal expenses like manufacturing, pressing, storage, artwork, cover, it dropped out, because there is obviously a cover for a digital release. I think every student or even my kids can do that these days. So there is no risk for labels, but still the structure of the deals didn't change. And this is an essential issue these days. This is why so many artists actually can't survive anymore. So many of my friends, great musicians, better musicians than I ever was, can't work in the job anymore. They go back being 50, becoming a teacher after being a musician for 25 years. And this is, of course, the format change, and it's a political change driven by the major industry.
Right, so 10 years ago, birth of MP3s, well, 15 years ago, really, if you're talking Napster and way back, and then 10 years ago. So even 5 years ago, what were the major changes that you saw coming, and were you ready for it?
I have to say, I saw it coming, and I love the idea, especially as being an active DJ, as I'm still are. For me, I think most of the people are kind of lazy, and to be honest, when I remember I started DJing, carrying like 2 crates of records and touring and the extra charge on planes, and then CDs was already nice, but I hated the burning and the writing, and of course for me, MP3, I was like, hell yes, my DJ set is in my pocket, I play with in-ears. They don't even see that I'm a DJ when I enter a country, so it was very convenient, and of course the risk. As a label, traditional label, I was like, okay, finally, I do not have to press vinyls and then get vinyl and get like 20%, 30% back. So the risk for me, the expenses lowered, but at the same time, the turnover dropped drastically.
Right, so from an artist's point of view, it was more convenience with these kind of changes and morphing in this digital space. Convenience rather than the monetary unit, and the passion still keeps you going. If you're working at a record label, 99.999% of people that I know working at a record label love music. They're passionate about music. They are supportive, but there are roadblocks that get in the way, and oftentimes it is digital transformation, format changing, consumer-led behaviors changing. So Klaus, I am turning to you now. Like in the last couple years, and kind of the short space of time you've been dipping your toes into the music industry from a business perspective, where did you see the shift happening at what point, and leading us up to present day shortly?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So if you look at back in the past, also what is interesting to note, like nowadays a major label deal doesn't mean anything. Like back in the days, it was kind of like a guarantee for success, because they had like access to radio stations. They would give you access to studios, because back in the days it was really expensive also to go into a studio and record stuff. Nowadays you can do it on a laptop from home. And yeah, and they would also help you to get into retail, distribution, pressing CDs, right? Those were the things that was the traditional value offering of a label. And also what is important to understand is how does the investment of labels function. It is not a real investment. It's like more like a bank type of loan. You get an advance, right? So that you can produce stuff, and all the other costs are also then added up. And you as the artist have to hope that this album becomes a major hit, so you can recoup, you can repay the advance. And the funny thing is, very often in like 360 deals, also the music is then owned by the label, and you have to pay interest till like eternity. for the stuff you produce with the money you just got loaned in the first place.
Oftentimes.
Yeah, very often times. So that was the traditional model. And yeah, but nowadays, with all the technology, digital distribution, CD is not that important anymore. Of course, the value offering is not that like valid anymore. Yeah.
Sure. So physical sales still exist, whether we think that they don't or not. They genuinely do. So people still do buy CDs. There is a resurgence in vinyl. Definitely, I'm based in London the last 20 years. I definitely see that happening as you. So there are formats that are still grabbing and grasping and holding on to find maybe like that next generation of audiences that want to be holding something physical. Do you guys, are you with Klaus here on what's happened the last 5 years?
I mean, I think what we need to point out is that actually the turnover with music didn't go down at all. So it's just that the artist didn't get anything out of it. And even the labels, for a certain period of time, it was difficult to get paid for the rights you own, basically. And this is still happening today. So there's this value gap some of you already heard of. So there are big companies who are earning money with the music they actually don't own. So today I think the big challenge is that everything is more granular. So back in the days you had you just put out 30,000 CDs, you sell them, job is done basically, and you do the accounting for the artist, and that's it. And now all the income streams are more granular, there are more ways to consume music basically. And over a period of time, and still today, there's a mismatch because some artists, they simply don't see the money which is generated. And yeah, and it's also a bad image for the music industry when certain players in the market don't pay out what they earn with it.
Right, so there's a little conundrum there. It's like a little bit of what is the best situation for an artist in that case? Like Ollie, I saw you shaking your noggin.
Yeah, I mean, according to what I know, the turnover, global turnover dropped a few billions and then got consolidated and raised up. My point is a little bit like what you said, Klaus. I partially don't agree. Saying that music can be handled on a laptop, that counts for electronic music, but we're talking about a global range of music, and you cannot produce a rock album on a laptop. If you tell Rammstein, I do your new album on a laptop, they're most likely shoot.
You'll get a boot in your face.
Yeah, they're gonna, and especially when you want to have a good vocal recording, you still need some gear. So, and then you need to point an emphasis on the deal structures. It's not that all labels paid for the production, depending on the deal. If you had a master deal, you presented the album, and you paid for the production. So we're talking about artist deals, and the artist deals are a main problem because the payment for artist deals back in the days, if you were an okay artist, you get a share of 6 to 8%, and the producer usually got 4 to 6%, and they transformed these deals on streaming. And now you do the math, very easy, 4% on a stream, and then you have a third-party deal. If you're signed to an indie label, you get 2% on the streams, and this is why you have these gigantic figures like, oh, they made $1 million and I got £1,000. And this is like, if you can say like, forget about the past and look to the future, but to understand how the future will evolve, you need to understand the structures of deals from the past. And this is where there is a big change to just do fairer treatment towards the artists.
Exactly, and it's about those album structure deals which make the record label and their relationship with the artist, which in turn has a major impact on the fans who are more and more savvy than ever before and kind of, you know, won't smell the bullshit, so to speak, and they won't. Sorry for swearing. Are we allowed to swear? Okay, it's early.
You can.
Let's go. Okay, thank you. Fuck you. But Klaus, I think in this the research that you've done recently in the last like 12 to 18 months, the pie chart in your mind right now, which I know you might show us a couple things a little bit later on, but where have you seen that, like the growth of the shift of a record label, where you said that the model is taking place, like leading up to what is a record label now in modern day, and what does it mean for the label itself? So we're going to talk about the label and then the artists and the fans, but let's start with the record label present. What does a record label mean today?
So I would start with the artist, the talent. So say you're an artist, right? And how do you, so your goal is to get to a big audience. So what alternatives are there in the market? So A, you got the major labels, they've been existing for long. That is your first alternative. Then option 2 is you could go to a casting show to get, you know, famous, so to say. And number C is, I call them indie labels / self-publishing. Those 3 options you normally have currently in the market, and all of them have their, you know, like advantages and disadvantages, and all have their flaws too, right? So I mean, for major labels, yeah, structure and deals is the problem. Casting shows are not really focused on long-term development. It's like a different product there, right? And you also sometimes get into like different TV-related contracts there. And then, yeah, indie labels very often, I mean, if you're not a major label, you're an indie label, but indie labels very often don't have access to capital, and you need capital to go somewhere in the market. And self-publishing, you don't get like a YouTube star overnight nowadays. You still need a team, like people to help you to build stuff, to create content. And so far what has happened, like in a major label, like dominated system, you have those like outliers. They are investing 2.6 billion a year in A&R to try to find those super genius artists like Lady Gaga, you know, Adele and so on, where you just have to throw money on them and they will just, you know, go like, you know, rocket ship. But in this kind of system, 9 out of 10 fail. Like, but we only hear about the one, you know, those outliers.
The artists, not
yeah,
the
the
label.
artists. Like those who have so much drive and are also like so business smart. They are really smart business people, and they gather themselves like a really good team, producers, and they have this drive that they can even succeed in such a skewed and like unfair system. They can do it, and then they will profit of their music and so on. So those are the 3 options at the moment, I would say. And yeah, and we, like us as a company, we are trying to offering something different, right? So I could, yeah, I will just show it later, perhaps what we do, like perhaps differently.
I think so. So which goes back to the question about the label of today. In your mind, with the model that you're working with, can you say it in one sentence? Is it a label or is it a model?
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to describe because you only see these kind of modern integrated companies in Asia. Like I already said, and it is a label. If we're offering label services, it is an agency. It is like, but it's more than the parts, like the sum of these parts. So what we say, we are like a talent builder, also taken from the startup world. We're an incubator, accelerator, and talent builder. We're like a one-stop platform where you as talent could come. You get access to infrastructure, to like experts from diverse fields. You have business people, you have marketing people, you have also psychologists, because we think mental and also
holistic approach.
Yeah, a holistic approach. It is like if you are applying, professional sports principles to the music world, right? Because also in professional sports, everything's happening very systematically. Discovery, training, development throughout the career, then also after career. So.
Right, so it's a familiar model that when we were talking yesterday, labels and music industry people call it the 360 model, where it encompasses some recording, studio time, merchandise, tour, management. If every record label came with a psychologist, we might not be here today. A different industry. I mean, what in your mind, Tom, is the label of today, especially with you representing such a cool label?
I mean, it's not that black and white. So there's not, for instance, how we work is not there's the deal. So take it or leave it. So we understand ourselves more like someone who's enabling artists to do what they want, basically. And the range is from it's a newcomer artist. We are able to invest in this artist. We believe in this artist. We then sign a traditional record deal, which is still totally different from 15 years ago, just because of the way how music is consumed.
Being brought up to speed, the traditional record deal means what now?
It means the traditional one is it's an investment deal, it's a license deal for the artist. There's definitely a shorter period of time where you exploit the rights, basically. This changed back in the days, and you don't have so many options on albums anymore because artists tend to move around between labels when they think where they are, and as you said, I mean, artists often use records to promote their live business, and this is something you need to understand. And then, if every party is clear on what we want to achieve, each of us, then it definitely works. And then what we also have is, for instance, on the management side. So we basically run the album, run the labels of our artists. They maintain the rights, so we just take a distribution fee on what they do, and it's a totally different deal. So it's more a distribution deal than a record label deal. And in between, there's all, depending on what a label and what an artist wants to achieve, we help them, or we do play in distribution, or we market their releases, or we just market their priority releases.
So when you're signing a new artist, do you have that luxury to craft the deal with them, and they have a say? Yeah,
of course. I mean, they usually also have a management, and we talk about of what we achieve. I mean, on the label, I mean, usually the artist deals are not our cash cows. So if we sign, especially newer artists, we often don't. This is not even profitable for us. So, I mean, at the end, we are a culture company. We sign music we believe in and we want to put out. So it doesn't necessarily need to be, a cash cow at the end. So for us,
it's still living by the morals and values of K7 Records, which is,
I mean,
which
at
is
the
an
end, we are doing
thing.
it for the music, and we put out the music we believe in and we want to put out. So it's not necessarily. Like
and sticking with you, Tom, the biggest tech change that you've seen, so kind of going back to what we're here to be talking about, like what the biggest pieces of technology or systems or software, hardware, what are you implementing personally into your day-to-day?
Today or back in the days?
Now, present day, what types of technology is influencing your job?
I mean,
your artists' lives.
I mean, it's definitely, we analyze a lot of data to see where music is consumed and how it's consumed. So this is the main focus we put in at the moment.
So a software for analytics.
Yeah, we just gather all the data we get from all different sources and try to consolidate them and to get the full picture. And this also includes a record sale on Bandcamp or
and everything that goes with it. So you're keeping your eyes on those kind of technologies that can help you as a business, which will in turn help the artists. And
I mean, we have seen the transition of the music business. I mean, we are around for about 30 years, so we have been always
seen it.
We have seen it,
and
we started with iTunes as one of the first independent labels back in the days. So that our digital department was a one-man show, basically. I built it up back in the days alone and did all the pitching, and now it's a very big department. And we are constantly just changing, I think, and this is something which is very important nowadays. So you can't really rely on this is the music business and this is how we're going to do it for the next 5 years, and this simply doesn't work.
It's part of a way of life now, isn't it? It's not so much like things springing up on you at the last minute. Like, there'll be streaming, there'll be some new formats to even make some music videos out of, etc., things like that. Yeah. So speaking of tech and a modern day record label, Ollie, let's talk about blockchain records real quick.
Let's spice it up a bit. First of all, there is a battle going
Throw
on.
some shapes.
Yeah, there's a battle going on between artists and labels, because when you constantly sign deals to bigger labels, I don't mention any names, I don't want to do a certain bashing, and then you get a contract 18% on streaming for a master deal. And I'm like, are you serious? 18%? These guys are
80.
Yeah, like 10. 18. This is what labels offer these days. And I'm talking about big labels. I'm not talking about small labels, especially for young artists. Big artists, they could survive because they make the money on touring, but especially upcoming artists, they don't. And I think you have to go a little bit back because there is no trust in this business anymore. So artists do not trust major labels. So first of all, you need to implement something that the trust from the artist is back, and find artists that are authentic to what they do, because I don't want to have like slow-washed artists. They're like the football players these days. If they take off their shirt, they get fined and a red card. So this is too even, and this gets along with the development of the algorithm-driven, money statistic crazy situation, which you need to do. but you have to be very careful that you don't have like a slow washing program that is like everything is like, we say it hot but not too hot. In German you say it stört beim Bügeln nicht kind of artist, which are like around forever, and you listen to music and like after 20 minutes on the highway you crash because you fell asleep.
Don't die, champ. Don't die.
Because the music is so boring, especially when you drive on German highways. So the modern label needs to create trust at the first place. And the second point is transparency.
Right.
No artists are not made to understand the whole business because they are artists. They want to perform, they want to go on stage. So why would I teach them everything? First of all, trust me. Trust that the label of the future gives you an overview and the transparency to see and realize that this is working for them. And this is why I jumped on the fact blockchain, this technology actually delivers this.
So can you explain exactly how blockchain records works? And just a quick show of hands in the room.
If you ask me to do that in full, we need another 2 hours.
We have nowhere to go, people, do we?
So,
can we just get a quick show of hands in the audience? Does everyone know 100% what blockchain is? So cryptocurrency, keep your hands up. Okay, so that's about 50-50. So
30-70, I would say.
37, yeah. I mean, it's about,
okay,
so can you give a quick
short.
overview?
I usually don't start to explain the technical wise, that this is a riddle, the search of...
In a sentence, without mentioning
the sentence
Satoshi,
is a distributed ledger that allows a decentralized control of data and income. So, and you cannot fake it. So it's like, I said, we go to a record store, it's like every time you, back in the days, you sold a record or a vinyl or a CD, that your tax consultant was there to check, oh, he sold a vinyl, goes straight to you. So it's fast, it's direct, and at the end, better pay. There are, of course, some obstacles we have to get over. So it's actually a decentralized, like transparent, a much fairer paid business model towards artists. That doesn't mean that you will not need a label, because label services these days is about marketing and managing. I think even the label of today should offer management services. I wouldn't go this far to say like psychologically, I think this, because I want the edgy, I want the Amy Winehouse, I want drama on stage, I want a story to tell. So, and this is what we do. We're just about to finalize our software, where we actually can provide our artists and music to all blockchain streaming platforms. There are, for the moment, there are 5 relevant ones. And we have a lot of connections already in LOIs with big companies, even like big name companies. We're talking to Sony, we're talking to publishers. They all want to try and see how that works. I can't tell you if it's going to be happening in 2 years or it's going to take another 10 or 15 years. They say that development of blockchain streaming technology will race as fast as the digital progress from 2005 to 2015, but in 2 years. And the predictions of the turnover this time around 1.5 billion, in 2 years it's 11 billion. So, but it's covering the whole blockchain system. It's not only for music. And
how do you implement your artist recruitment and convince them this is the right?
I have traditional labels. I talk to all my artists, amongst Grammy-nominated artists, and I explain them what we want to do. And so far, I did not have one artist who said no. So they're all on our roster, they all want to do it. We have like great meetings and collaborations with people that are actually seeing that, because the trust issue is gone. Even if I would be a crook, I can't fake anything. It's transparent, and once it's there, you cannot change it. Yeah. And there are obstacles, like the volatility of cryptocurrencies is still an issue, but there are enough startups solving this solution there.
So people are willing to take a chance.
Yeah, of course, because I mean, what do we sell here?
Yeah.
Musicians live from the hope that people will hear their music and that at some point they will make money with it. And this is the vast majority of artists. I'm not talking about the Drakes and Britney Spears. Yeah. So I'm talking about music.
So one thing that keeps coming up here is that what I've seen, a small theme in this conversation, is that an artist still needs a label. Whatever type of format that is, or the platform. I think we're all agreeing that a good artist will help with guidance. So maybe even if that label is their own label, but.
Yeah, I think it depends on the artist and what you want to achieve. I mean, we have this topic that artists can upload music directly to Spotify. Sure, I mean, there are artists where it definitely makes sense. If I'm starting in music, I want to do everything myself, fine. Then I just go to TuneCore or CD Baby, upload my music, or go directly to Spotify.
DIY label.
DIY.
You are your own label.
But at a certain point, I think you should focus on what you're good at. And this is, usually it's music and not marketing and building your brand, basically. And at a certain point, you need partners. This, can be low involvement. It can be a company who has a full team behind you and will put all the effort into it.
So option A, do it yourself and everything yourself. Option B, make the music, but then get some help from other people. Option C, try to get a label deal that has the expertise inside. Or option D, do a different route, like Klaus's business model, where you're auditioning into an academy and then growing from there, almost a school way. So we have really, really fantastic 3 different perspectives here. I know that we've got some questions from the audience on Slido, so should we kind of go to those? Is there anything kind of catching your eye, guys? We'll be marketing, sure. So to the panel, how are you going to make sure you're going to survive as a label if YouTube, Spotify, Apple start to do what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I would pick the second questions, not this one.
Too late. This is the one I asked.
But this is exactly also what the other 2 guys said, and also how much of the work a label does will be marketing and branding in the future. Yeah, I mean, so again, if you look at what labels did in the past for you, they would give you mainly capital, right, as an advance, and then you would have to decide how to use it. And you would then use also marketing agencies in some cases, and some labels, they have, of course, in-house marketing and so on, but very often also incentives are not really aligned in this. And yeah, of course, you can do it yourself, but it's really, really hard. And so you need a team, like, to go somewhere, like, to scale and go really big, you need a team. And yeah, the music, like, that's also the sad part. Like, those deals were always so structured that it's the artist against the label. And yeah, so this was the past, and yeah.
So the answer to this question is a lot.
Yeah,
so
of course.
A label will still have marketing, branding, distribution, probably forever and ever, because that is the spine of a record label as well, and the expertise that comes with it. And then what about the point about the Spotify, YouTube, if they started a model that you're doing?
Yeah, of course, you can put music on Spotify right away. But also because technology made it so easy to put out music there, it's also so hard to be, discovered and to, scale up. You still need capital to do marketing and branding.
So
also,
I
if you
think
these
guys got a bit of wad in their pocket, so to speak. These 3 major players. So if they started to do an academy and A&R, which they do, we know that already in the developments that Apple have done even in the last 2 years, especially with their collaboration with Beats and things like that, and the incubation, the money that they have. Tom?
Yeah, I think, I think you can't put everyone in the same pot here anyway. So, I think everybody should do what their best is. I mean, Spotify is a tech company. I mean, Apple Music is a lifestyle company. They put a lot of effort into curating music, and I think it's not in their interest to be a label, because this is something they can't do. And I think you need to have people working with the artists who have the expertise and know basically what they're doing and where they're coming from. And Apple Music are very interested in working with partners and giving them the music. I mean, this is at least the experience we make. And yeah, I wouldn't be too scared about this question, basically. If YouTube wants to start a 360 label, sure.
In a way, you all 3 of you could easily survive, will easily survive if these 3 major tech companies started a label, because ultimately you're doing something that you've also got some heritage and creds.
I mean, we are definitely. I mean, they would do something which makes money, and this is also the step Spotify did, is by opening the platform to artists, is to please their shareholders and nothing else. Yeah. I mean, they have no interest to manage trillions of uploaded music. They just want to gain market share, basically. So we are working in a niche, and we have our goals are not to making most out of it. To be the most profitable company, we believe in the music, and I think this is different to these companies.
I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will give you a round of applause.
Couldn't agree
Believing in
more.
the music is why we're all here. It's why we're all in this room. It's why we have a passion to help people in the industry and keep things going. Yeah, Ollie.
I fully agree. I mean, these are major companies, and most likely their interest is to commercialize and monetize as much as possible. And as you saw, even major labels try to set up streaming platforms or download platforms. It didn't work out. And I really don't care, to be honest. And you don't forget, there is an aspect to labels. It's an image transfer. Because you do not only sign for money reasons, you sign in many niche markets. Yeah. Me as an artist, I would love to get signed to K7 Music. Would be great.
I know
I'm
a guy.
I'm not just not doing the music, but like or on other labels and techno genres. So there is more than the monetary aspect to it. So they can do whatever they want to do, but they still can't create this lifestyle. And I think many artists would be like, oh no, I don't want to be signed to Spotify records or to YouTube records. It would be more embarrassing because it's displaying actually your true origin of, oh, I want to make money.
But I suppose if you're a 15-year-old that's built success, millions of followers on a YouTube channel, you're young and naive and might go toward that direction, because that could be, you know, Gen Alpha, you know, that's the under 8-year-olds, right? They could be blinking. They'll be microchipped behind the eye soon, you know. It's like, and start their own label. So we can continue on with this, guys. There will be beers later. Right after this panel. Let's start drinking now. Can I stick with you, Ollie, on that very first question up there about like what do the labels, entertainment companies have to be doing to develop sustainable artists, and then we'll throw to Klaus. Yeah. Very good question.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, you have to see, there is one certain thing we always tell our artists, because we run a management company. We have 2 quite successful artists these days. It's a shift of your mindset up, because people who see themselves as an artist, I'm always telling, see yourself as a brand. It's helping to support actually the way you can market yourself. This is a conscious shift of conscious, because most artists are like, I'm a DJ. No, you're not. You're a brand. Because like it sounds a bit lame and too much
and
technical,
it's your job,
but it's a job to do. And so if you say like what have labels to do, companies, entertainment companies to do, of course they have to deliver a different service, because the main job of a label from back in the days is no longer there. So they don't have these risks. They have less expenses. So they have to actually find a deal, because there was a question about the 360 deal. It's kind of a 360 deal. I would always exclude the live factor, because I would always rely on a good company who is an expert and booking artist. So we exclude that. I can't book.
Your rise here.
See, hello. So I would exclude that, but of course you have to educate artists and tell them structures, starting from how do you handle social media, because most of the artists are like, oh, I have something to post, and everything they post is not essential to anybody anymore.
And that has become such a major part of the record labels nowadays and the management team. So you come with a social media management.
Yeah.
Part of the management team is what I've seen, even with major A-list artists I've worked with over the last couple of years. I want to stick with this question and go to Klaus, but while I'm so with you, Ollie, you know, the description of this panel also asks, what kind of artist needs a label?
Stringently, no artist, because you can do everything yourself. The question is, if you are able to create an environment and a network that helps and supports you, so you need supporters. You can't do it alone. So the question is, okay, is my platform, am I good enough to get the following on social media, Instagram / YouTube, everywhere? And am I able and capable to monetize that in a way that people actually go to me, they want to listen to me, and then actually promote my shows?
Yeah.
You do not need that, but not too many people and artists have this ability to do it. So at the end, the reason why you need a label is a personal reason, because you're not capable to do these things you need to do to promote yourself. So a label is not obsolete, but it could be a publishing company. There are modern publishing companies that offer actually exactly that. They start promoting labels, and I think for big publishing companies, because there's a bigger sense for publishing than for labels these days, to certain things about the copyright
platforms growing and growing.
Yeah, exactly. So publishing companies, they have a big shot. If I owned important publishing company, and there are some, they go exactly in this direction.
And you don't? You don't?
No,
you don't
small
sleep
ones.
Anyway.
We are small
We may as well
independent
start
publisher. We do techno and dance, so that there is not much income from publishing. Right. But the first labels, publishing companies start exactly this, having profiles of their writers, putting them together, telling them, okay, you need to do this, helping them with social media. They have like artificial intelligence startups for the next step of the new avatar artists. I mean, look at Boiler Room, what they did together with Google, Techno in Berlin, first virtual video. So this is where the story, as the story goes, or the voyage goes. And so this is a challenge, and I love this challenge, and I want to be part of this.
And those formats are equally important, which we're going to touch on at 3 o'clock today, right in this very room. I want to just kind of rewind slightly. So there were 3 questions up there that we can combine back to you, Klaus, about the kind of that sustainability, the combination model. I love that you brought up publishing, because we've not brought that up yet, and it's still so important. It's more important than ever before, publishing and rights and the licensing and distribution. So if we don't mind getting the Slido questions back up, please. There were 2 notes in there about the combination of... Oh, right. So do you want to flick through a couple of these really super quick?
I mean,
because you can answer about 3 of those questions in a short overview of what Black One is doing, knowing that we're a little bit short on time.
I
so.
need perhaps the clicker.
Oh, sorry.
Where's the clicker?
Or you could just tell them to flick through. Whoever's driving, tell the nice guy at the back.
Okay, just skip ahead, and I mean, just...
But this is just like showing the top line things that answer those questions about...
What do I have to press?
What a label.
This is literally the question, like, why we started this company, right? So
but what you're about to answer is this also... Oh, thanks. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dank. Thank you.
So this is where we started from, like, because...
The one-stop shop is the question we're answering,
So I'm going to skip, as said, I already said this, right? These are the current alternatives we see in the market to get to commercial success and a huge audience. And and everyone is always complaining, right? Why is it so unfair, the whole technology and so on. It changed distribution and so on, but the artist in the end is still not the one profiting of all these advances. And I mean, this is the traditional way as we see it. You as an artist, to get to an audience, you have to navigate all these players somehow. You have to find a producer, perhaps a manager. If you decide, I want a manager, then you have to hope a label spots you. And also education training happens somewhere totally different, and it's not integrated. That's also what you would call fragmentation.
This is part of the streamlining, answering these.
And it's very hard, you as an artist navigating all these things, and who do I listen to, who not? And so this is why luck in this kind of system, luck is much more important than, in succeeding than like real system. There's no real system behind it. And that's why 1 out of 10 fail. Even if you sign a label deal, 1 out of 10 fail. And so what we do is we take this traditional way and we like streamline it into a modern integrated way.
So here's your one-stop shop, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, artists, the talent comes in an audition, and they go through development, like holistic development. They get trained in vocal, dance, and so on, because the goal is to train them to become multi-talents. And then career-wise, we offer production management on also traditional label services, so to say. And then business and legacy, this is exactly, you have to come from a product-driven, brand-driven approach. You, the artist, the end goal is to become a brand. You, as the company, should help the artist in creating this world of digital, physical products, brands, and experiences, right? That's like the end goal. And for us also, and here, like for all the other things, it makes sense to work with big third-party providers, like publishing-wise. They're like huge companies, also good companies like Cobalt. They're like on the edge of technology in what they do. And also to work with traditional mass media. I mean, mass media will always exist, and they all need original, good content, and you should use these channels.
So this is a very ambitious business model that you have here.
And we take our approach from like existing systems. It's the K-pop approach, it's professional sports, it is also from the startup world. So we are like a blend of West and Far East, I would say. So if we go back, those kind of things, there's so good stuff you can adopt to the music world, because it is still one of the most inefficient, unfair, and still everything's happening between door and angle. That's the problem.
So the idea, the ultimate goal is, so this is your HQ.
No, that's not our HQ. No, just to make people understand how the whole K-pop industry works. The K-pop industry, those entertainment companies have perfected the system of finding talent early, really fostering it, developing it. It's a very tough system, but it sparks out the best of the best in the end. And for us, we take only parts of it, That's how big it can be.
And that's not your HQ.
No, it's not our HQ. So we accelerate people, but we also build them. Building them is our core business. We build people like a label would not even touch. They would say, come back in 2 years once you have already like huge following and everything. Bring your album already. That's not what we do.
So you get the applications through
Yes.
your website. People are applying. They audition.
Yes.
You're building an academy, and you're taking a minimal amount a year, like 20 people a year.
Yes, exactly.
And then you grow them. So the idea is that you're nurturing to give longevity. So
Yeah, it makes more sense to produce like a K-pop company has like 30 people under management, like max,
Right.
and they are worth billions. So yeah, it's great. We are located in Berlin, and and important is the whole aspect of space. You know, like space. Also, what is said, if you look at Universal Music, like their big headquarters here at Warschauer Straße, it's like one big office building, and you as an artist would go there perhaps one time a year to talk about your contract.
So you're looking at the long tail of the business. So cool. Is there any more to come
I would
into
skip,
this?
but it starts with the content. It has to go into lifestyle and technology. Those three parts have to work together. That's how you build like really sustainable and big brands and products.
Okay, so we're running out of time. I'm glad you got to show that. So just to wrap up this panel, let's talk about, what is the label of the future? Ollie, I'm looking right at you.
Yeah, it's straight an open-minded label that goes with the development of technology, but should not forget, because I like what you say, but it's only a very small niche. We want to have a sustainable change of the industry with blockchain streaming. So I have a different perspective of that. So first of all, have a fair, transparent, and fair paid system, then go with the flow. I mean, what's happening? I mean, there are so many predictions what's going to happen, like the Avatar song. If you look at Ampa Music first, artificial intelligence producing a song, nobody really would hear that this is from a machine as alone, so stand alone. So to see like in the virtual reality world, what's going to happen? Do I implement my artist or the music of my artist in these rooms? So that's the development. Does music have to stay like it is? Change the music. I mean, technically it's possible. After you streamed a song 100 times, there's a new verse to it, or a new guitar, or a piano. So this is, be open-minded.
So we've got discovery, education, longevity, the full one-stop shop. We've got fair streaming, the discovery, the integrity with the music, and Tom wrapping up here.
Yeah, I mean, just to add, I mean, the label of the future will still be the partners who will enable artists to succeed and to keep the culture alive. I mean, you brought it to the point pretty good. Yeah.
If you still call it a label, is the question. Like,
absolutely, we call it a label.
There's no other term for it. That's why we use it.
I say we do. Let's meet in a year's time and see where we are, and then we'll meet in 5 years' time.
Good idea.
Right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to our panel, Ollie, Tom, and Klaus. My name is Mookie. We'll see you later. Thank you.
Thanks all you guys. We have a few minutes left for Q&A. And probably we can see Slido.
I'm sorry.
I have this question here. Don't worry. What's the labels entertainment companies have to do?
Stick around.
To develop sustainable artist brands who generate more income and fan involvement beyond the playlist-driven streaming business. Oh. Anybody?
So the question one.
So what can you do more?
Yeah, so I think
as a label.
Yeah, I think in a nutshell, I'm just gonna like speak on behalf of it, but Ollie, in a nutshell, we kind of covered that a little bit.
I mean, for the moment, the market is driven by playlists. Everybody's crazy about playlists, and 95% of the artists will not take place and are not taking place in the playlist. So this is a matter of the streaming platforms actually willing to open up to support actually niche music or on a wider scale. The business model doesn't allow, as long as Spotify loses hundreds of millions every year. So it's a problem. So I think there are going to be new brands that actually start from the beginning, from the bottom, to actually cultivate culture, the culture of music from the beginning, because everything goes mainstream, and as soon as you're mainstream, you forget about everything that does not make enough money. And I'm not talking about 100 million streams. A lot of artists would be happy to have 1 million stream or 10 million streams, to use it to have live income and to actually make a living on performance.
Cool.
Cool. With a question, what about services like Amuse.io and Color Studios? Could they be what the labels of tomorrow look like?
Tom, that might be for you. Thoughts, recipes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we touched this how a label of tomorrow, if these tech companies could be labels of tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know. I can't comment on this. Do you have an opinion?
I can do like a cooking show, support.
They can be, whether what they do
like
with their
DJing
artists
live for an
question.
artist. I mean, there are a lot of things where you can actually place artists outside of the music industry. I doubt that this is really having a big impact, because then you have to adjust to different target groups. So, and if you have a cooking show or like cake show, whatever, I don't know color studios, to be honest, so I can't really tell you about anything about color studios. So,
you know them.
Yeah, they're also located.
Yeah. So what would, if they started a record label?
I mean,
could they be the label of tomorrow and potentially kick your ass?
Colors is a really good YouTube channel and / also another distribution platform, I would say. You can go there once you have your content, but they won't help you to develop this content. So that's in the first step, you have to acquire skills, develop content, and then you need to think, how do I get the content out there? So they are like in that, yeah, it helps me to get my content out there. They won't help to develop it. It's another total different things, those 3 steps, you know? And it's not their core business at the moment. If they wanted to do it, again, they need lots of experts. You need experts. Nowadays, you have to develop as a brand. There's so many things you have to think about. You need experts from social media, from marketing, business, and all these different things.
And they'll have that because they'll have the money.
Yeah, but
they can hire people.
Yes, and of course, anyone can do it. But if they want to do it, I don't know. Yeah.
Right. It's just basically anyone could start a label. It's how well you do it and run it.
True.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with money.
Exactly that.
I mean, you know, Google Plus.
It's how well you do it and what you're doing with
company,
it.
where's Google Plus? With the richest company in the world,
Yeah.
Google Plus did not make it.
Right.
So money is not the solution to start a label with a sustainable impact.
No, it should be a passion for music. Number one.
That would be most likely the case. This is why we release music. I release music. I know I'm gonna lose money, and because there's the question 50-50. Blockchain streaming, I can do. Traditional labels, sometimes 50-50 is really hard because the expenses you have to only do the release, like time, artwork, and something, there are still expenses. And if it's your time you spend on people working for you, and then you get it, it's sometimes that bad. You have a Beatport top 10, and this is techno, and then you get like 200 euros, 400 euros, and 400 euros from streaming. That doesn't cover my expenses. I still do the release. So guys, this is the love for music.
Thank you very much for this very, very cool session. I do think the discussion could go on for hours.
We're not leaving the stage, basically.
Probably we can continue the discussion in the Speakers Lounge or in the Meet the Experts. I just want to remind you guys of the Meet the Experts program. You had a link from Purple X where you can book one-on-one sessions with all the experts you hear. If you cannot book them, just go down to the Meet the Experts area. Probably you can just get them without a booking. Thank you very much. And I'm very happy that we're ready for our next guest. Thanks for being here. And so we have
Lieblingskinderbücher. Die habe ich immer noch, deshalb habe ich sie und habe sie nicht gehabt. Das eine heißt Frederik. Und Frederik ist eine Maus. Die sitzt immer auf einem Stein und alle anderen Mäuse arbeiten den ganzen Sommer. Sie sammeln Essen, sie sammeln Nahrung, und sie fragen immer, Frederik, was machst du? Und Frederik sagt, ich sammle Farben. Das nächste Mal sagt er, ich sammle Töne. Und sie sagen, du bist faul. Dann kommt der Winter und sie fressen und sagen, ja, Frederik, und du hast nichts dafür getan. Und dann ist Februar, dann wird alles leer, ist nichts mehr da. Und dann fängt Frederik zu erzählen an. Und er erzählt von den Farben des Sommers, von den Tönen des Sommers. Und plötzlich wird es diesen Mäusen warm. Und sie spüren, da ist noch mehr als nur dieses Essen müssen. Da ist Kultur und das ist Erinnerung und das sind Geschichten. Und das gehört zu einer Gesellschaft wie eben Essen und Trinken. Und das ist was wir häufig vergessen. Und deshalb bin ich ein Stück Brücke und bringe Ihnen mit, dass wir wissen, dass Sie die sind, die Farben sammeln, dass Sie sind, die Töne sammeln und wir brauchen Sie, damit Sie uns immer wieder diese andere Seite des Lebens in Erinnerung rufen. Und dann gibt es ein zweites Buch, 2 Bücher, ich kenne auch 3, aber ein zweites Buch noch, das mir wichtig ist. Das heißt Seraphin und die Wundermaschine. Und Seraphin ist ein Bastler. Und er hat einen Freund Plum, klein, dick, Rollkragenpulli, da passt alles drunter. Und die beiden entdecken die Welt. Seraphin ist U-Bahn-Schaffner, rettet einen Schmetterling. Irgendwann erbt er eine alte Villa und sie können all ihre künstlerischen, kulturellen Dinge ausleben. Sie können eine Musikmaschine bauen und dann rückt ihnen immer näher die Bauinvestoren, die diese Villa abreißen wollen. Und sie kommen immer näher. Und irgendwann fangen die beiden an, ihre Fantasietreppe in den Himmel zu bauen. Sie haben 3 Stufen, die legen sie immer neu in den Himmel. Und sie entschwinden dieser Welt. Und das ist das, was bei uns hier nicht passieren darf. Das ist das Zweite, was mich erinnert hat, als ich mich auf heute vorbereitet habe. Es darf nicht passieren, dass diese Stadt jene verliert, die die Fantasie, die Kreativität hier leben können. Und das heißt Freiheit und Vielfalt und das Bereitstellen dieser Räume wird immer unsere Aufgabe sein. Deshalb ist es wichtig, dass wir sie nicht nur bewundern und hier die alte Münze so weit aufbereiten, dass sie hier arbeiten können, sondern es ist auch wichtig, dass wir uns miteinander beschäftigen und sie uns unterstützen, dass wir sie einbeziehen. Und da sind wir jetzt bei diesem ganz schnöden Titel, der angesagt ist, bei der Digitalisierung, bei der Frage, wie kann eigentlich, was tut Musik und Kreativwirtschaft, was hat das zu tun mit Verwaltungssteuerung? Wir wachsen jedes Jahr um 40.000, 50.000 Einwohner. Es sind Künstlerinnen und Künstler mit dabei, aber es sind ganz viele Menschen, die kommen aus aller Herren Länder, sie suchen Arbeit und sie sind die Bereicherung für unsere Stadt. Dieses Wachstum fordert uns enorm. Diese Stadt ist 10, 15 Jahre in so einem Sparkorsett eingezwängt gewesen. Sie haben versucht zu überleben in den Verwaltungen, aber sie haben sich nicht nach vorne bewegt. Jetzt beginnen wir, unsere Verwaltung neu aufzustellen, fit zu machen für Sie, fit zu machen für die Stadt der Zukunft. Und das geht nicht ohne digital. Aber digital ist keine Methode. Ich habe jetzt gerade ein Stück zugehört, was Sie hier machen. Digital ist einfach eine ganz neue Form des Miteinanderarbeitens. Es wird keine Verwaltung effizienter, wenn ich ineffiziente Methoden digitalisiere. Wie bekomme ich aber jetzt neue Effizienzen? Wie kann ich das Ganze neu denken? Und dann bin ich bei Ihnen. Das Thema Design Thinking beispielsweise ist für uns ein wirklich ist Neuland. Wir sprechen darüber mit ganz viel Vorsicht, weil wir noch gar kein Gefühl dafür haben. Und wir hatten jetzt einen internen Workshop hier nebendran beim Senatsverwaltung für Finanzen. Da haben wir richtig gemerkt, wie wir fast kindergartengleich mit dieser Methode umgehen. Das ist aber der Schlüssel, um Dienstleistungen für die Zukunft zu entwickeln. Das ist der Schlüssel, um die Brücke wieder zu bauen zu denen, die diese Verwaltungsleistungen brauchen. Und wenn wir uns jetzt miteinander beschäftigen, dann sitzt die Senatsverwaltung X und Y, dann sitzt der Bezirk da, dann sitzt Frank Nägele, dann sitzt meine Mitarbeiterin Frau Polka-Minetzka da. Wir beschäftigen uns großartig, aber immer nur mit uns, weil uns die Impulse derer fehlen, für die wir arbeiten. Und die Idee, mit der ich jetzt unterwegs bin und die ich hierher mitbringe und wozu ich Sie einlade, die Idee ist, dass Sie uns helfen. Wir wollen ein City Lab, Begriff kennen Sie, vielfach erprobt, einrichten, das aber anders ist als die übrigen City Labs. Wir möchten mit Ihnen eine kreative Werkstatt für moderne Verwaltung eröffnen und nicht dann die sein, die zeigen und sagen, seht ihr, so müsst ihr es machen, sondern wir möchten, dass Sie denen, die bei uns arbeiten, helfen und sagen, kommt, wir gucken mal, ich sage euch, was ich als Kundin, als Kunde will, ich sage, was ich mit meinen Methoden jetzt vorschlage und wir müssen auch mal über Brüche nachdenken. Wir wollen einen Raum des spielerischen Erarbeitens der Verwaltung der Zukunft und da brauchen wir Sie, weil unser Job ist es, die Dinge nach verlässlichen Leitfäden zu arbeiten. Sie haben einen Anspruch darauf, dass unsere Verwaltungsmitarbeiterinnen und Mitarbeiter nicht ihrerseits kreativ überlegen, was für eine Dienstleistung sie jetzt heute mal machen. Die muss stimmen, der Pass muss immer derselbe Pass sein und es muss verlässlich funktionieren, dass das Bild an der richtigen Stelle klebt. Aber wir brauchen Sie, um die Dienstleistung selbst zu hinterfragen, den Weg dahin zu hinterfragen. Wo möchten Sie denn gerne unsere Dienstleistungen genießen? Wie gehen wir um mit Partizipation, wenn wir neue Stadtquartiere wie Tegel eröffnen? Und das geht nur, wenn ich die Kreativen dieser Stadt mit einbinde, und da ist die Musik ein ganz wesentlicher Bereich. Das geht nicht ohne Räume. Also das ist wieder Seraphin. Wenn ich sie in den Himmel treibe, weil sie keine Möglichkeiten mehr hier haben, dann können wir auch nicht auf die Unterstützung zählen. Dann werden wir uns da auch kaum bewegen können. Das heißt, wir brauchen in dieser Stadt immer die Freiräume, die Sie für Ihre Entfaltung brauchen. Wir können Sie nicht einmal einladen, kommen Sie und dann gehen Sie wieder. Räume wie hier sind ein Anfang, aber wir wollen, auch das ist der Anspruch, den wir an uns als Senat haben, Ihnen immer wieder Räume öffnen, die dann bezahlbar, aber auch in ihrer Vielfalt lebendig bleiben. Es soll nicht versteinern, es muss lebendig bleiben. Sie brauchen physisch Räume. Wir müssen, das ist der zweite Punkt, ihnen wirtschaftlich Raum schaffen. Ich selber, es gibt immer ich fange gern bei mir an und frage, was erlebst du? Ich bin einer derer, die eine Kleinkunstbühne betreiben. Das mache ich seit 10 Jahren. Ich mache das mit viel Engagement. Wir machen das ehrenamtlich und da stand vorhin 50-50. Bei uns gilt der Schlüssel 70-30. Wir wissen, unter welchen Bedingungen Sie arbeiten. Es sind wenige, die ganz oben sind. Die Peter Fox Berlins, die haben wir und da sind wir stolz drauf. Aber das darf nie darüber hinwegtäuschen, dass 99% nicht Peter Fox sind. Und 99% brauchen was zu wohnen, 99% brauchen was zu essen und 99% brauchen ihre Freiräume. Und das ist Auftrag an eine Stadt wie Berlin, dass wir das immer schaffen, ihnen das wirtschaftliche Sein hier ermöglichen. Das machen wir mit Förderung. Und immer wieder, bitte erinnern Sie uns dran, wenn es nicht reicht. Es wird nie reichen, aber bleiben Sie mit uns im Gespräch. Und der dritte Punkt, der ist mir wichtig, wir brauchen diesen gesellschaftlichen Raum, damit Sie arbeiten können. Da stehen so Worte wie Diversität, da stehen Offenheit dieser Stadt. Es darf weder die Herkunft noch die Neigung am Ende darüber entscheiden, ob es diesen Raum gibt, weil diese Demokratie, so wie wir sie empfinden, genau jene Räume schafft, damit jede und jeder sich entfalten kann. Das heißt, wenn wir über die Verwaltung der Zukunft reden, dann reden wir nicht über schnöde Prozesse, dann reden wir nicht über Blockchain, über Algorithmen, über jedwede Form der Digitalisierung, sondern wir reden über Methode. Wie machen wir das neu, wie machen wir es besser? Und wir reden über das kulturelle Umfeld, in dem wir das leisten, weil Verwaltung ist in ihrer ganzen Stabilität, in ihrer Bürokratie immer auch politisch. Und wir wissen, dass wir sehr gut dazu beitragen können, Berlin als Stadt der Freiheit, als Stadt der Vielfalt und als Stadt dann auch und gerne der Musikwirtschaft, aber eben auch der Musikkultur zu erhalten. Das wollte ich Ihnen mitbringen. Ich freue mich, wenn Sie mich ansprechen, sei es jetzt, eine Frage sehe ich noch nicht, sei es in wie auch immer, ohne Ihre Impulse können wir nicht arbeiten. Dankeschön.
Herr Nägeli, vielen Dank. Wir haben hier eine Frage. Die Frage bezieht sich ein bisschen, Sie haben sie eigentlich schon halb beantwortet. Wir haben heute Morgen ein New Work Panel gehabt, wo es sehr um neue Arbeitsprozesse ging. Und die Frage knüpft ein bisschen an das erste Panel an. Wie funktioniert es, digitale Prozesse, die von flachen Hierarchien und rollenbasierten Arbeiten profitieren, in eine klassische Top-Down-Verwaltung zu integrieren? Ist das eine Aufgabe?
Ja, eine ganz große. Digitale Prozesse zentralisieren. Dadurch, dass sie Hierarchien rausnehmen, zentralisieren sie auch. Und das heißt, wir müssen aufpassen, dass wir das nicht zum Trend machen, sondern wir müssen gucken, dass unsere Verwaltungspräsenz umso dezentraler wird, je zentralisierter wir aufgrund digitaler Prozesse arbeiten.
Ja. Was ich Ihnen
Aber ich habe jetzt nichts zu den Hierarchien gesagt, haben Sie das gemerkt?
Habe ich gemerkt.
Bei den Hierarchien ist es, das ist ein dickes Brett, will ich mal sagen. Wir funktionieren, also Verwaltung funktioniert anders als Betrieb. Verwaltung funktioniert aufgrund vieler Filter, die da drin sind. Wenn wir welche rausnehmen, wenn wir Hierarchien rausnehmen, müssen wir immer überprüfen, ob wir die nötigen Verantwortungsfilter mit drin haben. Je weniger Hierarchie, desto besser, aber sie müssen sich immer auf uns verlassen können.
Bleibt die Frage, ob es überhaupt nötig ist, in der Verwaltung diese Hierarchien zu entfernen, um vielleicht in der Welt draußen Digitalisierung zu enablen. Wie sehen Sie das?
Also wir sollten auf jeden Fall, wir müssen aufpassen, dass Hierarchie nie zur Innovationsbremse wird. Das heißt, wenn es uns gelingt, den Kopf jeder Einheit davon zu überzeugen, dass Innovation gut ist und an der Stelle Mut verlangt, dann mache ich mir auch um die anderen Stufen der Hierarchie keine Sorge. Aber es gilt, wie häufig im Leben, auch für die Verwaltung, der Fisch stinkt meist vom Kopf her.
Ein schönes Schlusswort. Herzlichen Dank, Herr Nägele. So, wunderbar. Danke Ihnen. I'm gonna switch back to English now. I'm going to meet Emily Scoggins, music marketing consultant. I'm going to meet Josh Saunders, who's the head of creative for Warner Music, and Lisa Hultgren, creative manager, Sony Music Sweden. Guys, I'm very happy and very proud that we have you on stage. I'm really looking forward to this panel. And enjoy, and a big applause for our guests, please.
Thanks very much for that introduction. I guess we're ready to start now. We've got an hour. My name's... can you hear at the back? No? Yeah, okay, this is working now. So we have an hour to talk about a lot of things. The focus here is on marketing. So I know there are a lot of other sessions here at Most Wanted, which are going to focus on the technological aspects of AI, of VR, but this session is really looking at how these technologies can be used in terms of marketing. Now, marketing is a very broad term, of course. We can call a gig in virtual reality a marketing exercise. We can call the creation of music by an artificial intelligence bot also something that can be used in terms of marketing. So there's a lot of overlap in terms of the technology and the way we use that technology to engage with fans. We can also be talking about all sorts of types of music here. This could be like frontline pop. We could be talking about indie rock. We could be talking about classical music. We can be talking about catalog. All of those can use some form of advanced technology to reach a new generation of fans or to engage fans in different ways. So really, this is not about like next-gen frontline pop acts using VR to engage. This could be about all sorts of different types of use of technology for all sorts of types of music. And hopefully we'll cover all of that. So, you know, this is not just big budget stuff. Our panel here are all very well qualified to talk about this, so I'll let them introduce themselves and then we'll kick off.
Hi, I'm Lisa Haltengren from Sony Music Sweden. I am a creative manager and been working there for 4 years now. I work very much with the artists and come up with creative campaigns and strategies for them to stand out when releasing their music or videos. Very much it's about social media and how we can like push the limits there and make the artists be known and just get their music out there. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Josh Saunders, and I'm the head of tech and creative for it's like a in-house agency, but department really, called Fire Pit Technology that has been set up within Warner Music. There are some cheesy cliches that go with it. One of them they say is putting the lab in labels, but there's like 3 things that we do, which is we do campaign outputs and activations for the labels, we do platforms, and we do like standalone apps. And currently we're doing more in AR than VR, which we'll get to talk about in a bit. But AR is currently a big focus. I suppose the umbrella of what we do is fan engagement. And yeah, so we work with the UK labels on that.
Thank you.
No.
My name's Emily Scoggins. I, until quite recently, was head of marketing at the O2, the live music venue, the little one, in London. And yeah, now I am consulting on a freelance basis with music tech startups and directly with artists as well on their marketing efforts and campaigns for growth.
So you've seen both the kind of big stadium activations and how that works, and also you're working more with the startups, and so you kind of like from big to small, your experience covers the lot.
That's good. Great. So we've got good coverage with the kind of major label viewpoint of things, and also you working with live and with startups. Just so you know, my name's Steve Mail. I'm managing director and co-founder of a company called Music Ally. We've been around for 18 years or so, talking about what's coming next in the music industry, the focus on the kind of digital creative side. We publish information every day, and we also provide training and skills and marketing services. We produced a white paper in collaboration with Most Wanted. You'll see it sort of on rotation here on the screen, and just get the password, download it, and you can see some examples of the stuff we're going to talk about. So the first thing I think we should look at is the biggest thing. It's VR. It's this idea of immersing ourselves in an alternate universe that we've all been aware of. It's been around since at least the 60s, the idea of VR. And it seems particularly applicable to music because music transports you, and now we can kind of visually transport as well. There are a lot of artists who've done very creative and interesting things with VR. I mean, Bjork's Biophilia is a good example. Sigur Rós have been working with a company called Magic Leap. Can you put your hands up if you've heard of Magic Leap? Okay, so Magic Leap is a US company. They're a startup, really. By the definition, a startup. They haven't been around for very long. I mean, maybe like 5 years, 6 years. They focus on not just virtual reality, but almost like mixed reality, where a unicorn could pop up in the middle of this room and like have a fight with a whale. And they've raised, it's like, I think it's 1.8 billion, with a B, $billion. They've raised that much in venture capital because they have convinced Silicon Valley and other companies, other investment entities that they have the key to the future of virtual reality. Magic Leap is probably the most cutting edge company when it comes to the idea of what is coming next, you know, in 5 to 10 years' time. Magic Leap have been working with some music artists, but they've come under a lot of criticism recently for making these huge claims without actually launching anything useful. So if we start at the very top, I think we can start talking about companies like Magic Leap and what they're promising about the future. And have you seen any of examples of these like really, really far-end visionary rainbow-powered unicorn things?
Yes. I mean, yes and no. I think that when it comes to VR, I haven't seen it in the music marketing sense, because I feel like every time I see an artist doing something with VR, I'm always feeling, yeah, super cool, but it's not like groundbreaking. It's not like making my core feel like all exciting, and I don't get that super wow. But I've done VR when it comes to like horror movies, and then that's super powerful because you get just transformed to this other world, and it just makes, yeah, it makes that wow. But I haven't seen it in the music sense.
Beyonce was shown a visualization by Magic Leap and reportedly said she found it boring, which is something. So if we're talking, then let's come back a little bit. Maybe the future isn't quite, we're not ready for this yet, but there are a lot of companies that are working on VR and have been for years, like Melody VR, Vertify, the next VR, Wave VR. These are all companies who are building music, specifically music experiences around VR. What are they doing?
I should say that I didn't cover myself in glory once. I was on a panel talking about how live music is so essentially live, and you can never record it, and watching it on your own in VR is rubbish. And then I got introduced to the gentleman next to me who owns Melody VR, and I had to think quickly how not to offend him. I do actually think that Melody VR is a really great proposition. So Melody VR have been recording gigs for 2 years, 3 years. They've got thousands in their back pockets. And these have been recorded in, I think they're all 360, yeah. And they have quietly been signing licensing deals with rights holders, and the promise of it is that there's now a huge catalogue of shows that you can watch using a headset.
So these are like 360 gigs, and they're the Netflix of those gigs.
Yeah, and this is what they are setting out to be. So you can be on stage with that person, you could be in the front row, you can watch it from various points on stage, etc. There's maybe a question as to whether people want to do that?
Yeah, I'm very not super positive about it, because I feel like even if I stream an album, and there's so many live albums out there on that artists have released, there's always that audience cheering, there's always a little bit, the sound is a little bit off, and I don't see that just because I have a headset on and that I'm actually on stage with the artist, that it will make me feel that I want to spend an hour there. I want to spend an hour with that headset. What's good with music, you can do other stuff while listening to it, but I never put on a live album on in my headphones.
Yeah, I think maybe the social part what is missing from that. I think what could be interesting in the future is avatar-based artist and fan combinations, where you're using something modern, MR and VR, but more like a virtual world than you can all be in. Because I think fans are looking at that connection with the artist. When I've tried Melody VR, I think it is very impressive, but probably the pay-per-view is going to be the one to really look at. They're going to bring in pay-per-view, which appeals to the fear of missing out part of fan bases, which I think is very important.
It appeals to the ticket sellers as well, because the thought of it, the O2 selling 20,000 tickets for Adele, which we could have done, 15, 20 times over. If you can sell it on pay-per-view at £10 a ticket, then any promoter is going to want that money.
My experience with sort of impact of live gig, I can't remember, it wasn't Melody VR, it was another company at a trade show, but they'd filmed the Cavern Club in Liverpool, which is a small venue, small in this room. And I found that more impactful, actually, if you're going to do VR 360. Personally, I found, because you were right by the stage, and I found that more impactful than being at the O2. When I tried on Melody VR stuff, I mean, it is cool and impressive, but I found myself staring at the security guy for ages, thinking I should probably watch, you know what I mean? It's different types of curiosity we're all upon. But I think, for AR and mixed reality, being able to have, a mixed reality gig, presumably this is very much in Magic Leap sites, because then you've got the social and the personal aspect of you can, watch it in your living room type of thing. I think that's compelling. Yeah.
I was just looking at some examples of this, and there's a company called OctoSense that made a kind of mixed reality avatar of Rihanna, which you could either put on a headset and she could be dancing there for you on stage here, or you could have it on your phone and she would be appearing, your phone camera would show this room and then it would have Rihanna up here. And that kind of avatar-based mixed reality stuff is doable now, but arguably it's still quite gimmicky. It doesn't necessarily carry a value, and I think that's where it's valid in a marketing sense, because it's got that kind of gimmicky wow factor. But
thing is, if you do it badly, you only do it once. I was being shown exactly that kind of thing, but with Michael Bublé the other day, and every time I moved the phone just a tiny little bit, it would switch out which Michael it was, and he was as I took a screenshot, he was crouching down to tie his shoelace. It didn't make for much of a "here's me and Michael" picture. So yeah, I don't think I'll bother with that app again.
Sure. I mean, creatively, we're still at the very beginning of what we can do with this.
Yeah, and if we're talking about a marketing sense, like, what else than like VR, AR would everyone like be like, yeah, let's put down $100,000 on something gimmicky? Like, it doesn't, like, that does not go well in a boardroom or a marketing meeting. But when it comes to VR and AR, people suddenly are so okay to like open up their pockets for something gimmicky. And I think that's where it kind of, we have to be very careful, because otherwise there will not be like, we will not have the patience to wait until it's that good and stop being gimmicky if we just done gimmicky stuff.
But, okay, that's an interesting point, because a lot of the best examples of this, the most cutting-edge examples, have been where I think the technology company has paid. So Muse this week announced a big tour next year where they're going to have like the most advanced mixed reality gig experience, but it's Microsoft that is paying for that. We saw Tom Grennan do this really interesting, it's like a sort of virtual reality experience, but where they've used this clever technology from PlayStation, so it looks like he's looking at you in the eyes when you're watching this thing. You know, it's like the Mona Lisa, he follows you around, and he's looking at you, and wherever you are, so in your context, he's there, and he's looking you in the eyes. But PlayStation paid for that. The Gorillas Humans app, you know, hugely involved, intricate, mixed reality app, Deutsche Telekom paid for that. So do you need to have a big technology partner to pay for these things because it's so early stage, it's too expensive?
This is where I think things like Facebook lenses, Snapchat lenses, and Instagram lenses are coming using the same. There's a production software that Facebook has called Spark AR, and that's what you use to develop your lenses. And that's getting more and more expansive now. There was the Stranger Things Snapchat lens. Did everyone see that? It was more than just stupid glasses. It was basically a portal into a room. You're getting a lot of these like portal type AR experiences, which I think would be very useful on things like merch stands and things like that. The cost barrier to those do not require brand money. You just need to find, I mean, I think everyone in creative sectors would probably know somebody who can do a bit of 3D, and that's all you need. And for some of these, you can just get free models from things like Sketchfab, which is what actually Facebook recommend. So for entry-level AR experiences for an artist on not either a major label budget or a brand partner, I think, smartphone AR, it's not only the biggest addressable audience, it's now the lowest kind of cost barrier. There's music you can do as well. There's it was a hip-hop artist, can't remember now, but did like a music-based lens, so you could play music in it. So I would say that for smaller labels, people not on huge budgets, definitely look at smartphone AR.
I mean, I think this was covered in the intro to the session, actually, that AR, augmented reality, is actually fairly commonplace now on most people's smartphones. We all have the capability to have AR, and a Snapchat lens, a Facebook camera is the perfect example. And that has also been described already by some of the big platforms as the future of sharing. It's the ability to add... Big Shaq did this thing, didn't he, a while ago? He was, I think, you get the hat and the coat, and you can stick it on your own face and then start sharing that thing. And it was great. It was a great viral way of marketing that artist. And so we'd kind of started talking about the rainbow-powered unicorn future, and actually where we are at the moment is something that's very simple, accessible for everyone, and is commonplace. It's on most of our phones already. The ability to create lenses, images, and these kind of augmented reality experiences and share them. So just I know it seems almost a bit kind of prosaic or mundane to talk about that too much, because we all understand that quite well, that this is where we are, this is the current state of play. But just thinking slightly about the future, Facebook obviously owns Oculus, which is the headset, the VR headset, that was one of the first to be hyped in the market. Facebook has just started video and has licensing deals with the music industry. So in theory, 2019 could be the time when we start to see a lot more interesting virtual experiences driven by Facebook. Recently, in the last month, there's 3D images, photos, that's the word I'm looking for, photos. Yeah, 3D photos are launched by Facebook. So we're on the doorstep of something that's more interesting, I think, than lenses. So maybe the next year is the year when things start to like pop up a bit more.
And you're right, it does go in leaps. So when Pokemon Go hit, and all of a sudden, you know, millions of people were using that AR, you know, functionality. And I think Facebook, yes, will unlock photos, as you say, and actually in the introduction, talking about that sudden explosion in home, you know, assistance. It happened overnight on the 25th of December. You know, these things happen in big leaps.
So just two questions before we move on from VR. One is, do you think people will pay for it, or is it going to be a bit more like gimmicky marketing for the near term? And the bigger kind of VR stuff where you need a headset, is that's still too niche for everybody at the moment?
Definitely too niche. I think that it's not everybody has that. It's really expensive. It's bulky. You need like a setup. You need a room. You need to know how to function it, and it's not for everyone right now. And if it's not for everyone, then it's not for music, because music is for every people that can like share an experience. And if they can't do that through the VR that's possible today, then we shouldn't like put all our money or like resources there right now as a label.
No, I was going to say, I was reading actually in the white paper some really great examples of some heavy hitting, you know, Justin Timberlake's Outside In campaign that was done with Amex, because it was clearly too much money for Timberlake to do himself. And the M&M augmented reality app, which has a how-to video, because it's so complicated. And you just think, I'd love to know the numbers on how many people are actually using it. You know, the people have spent an awful lot of money on getting something really engaging and huge and fabulous. And you do wonder how many people are using it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there are very many amazing examples, but I just wonder when that one example comes that shifts the whole industry, because we're not there yet. Because I think that all of these campaigns that we're dropping now, that's in the white guide that you can read about, I don't think that everyone has heard about them, and that's an issue, because not one of them, they've been amazing, but they haven't been groundbreaking. And I'm still like waiting for that point in the future. Maybe it's very soon, I hope so, when it comes to like everyone starts talking about it, but yeah, this is an amazing experience, you need to try it. People come to their school or office with the VR, and like everyone can just like immerse in it and, I don't know, experience a whole new thing together.
You mentioned Pokemon Go, and I think because AR has actually been around for a very long time, and a lot of things that come out of posters and people are just like meh. And what made Pokemon Go is what brought it to everyone's public consciousness, because it was people resonated with Pokemon itself, but of the gamification. And I think music VR and AR needs its Pokemon Go moment, and it probably is around the corner. Personally, I think social within VR, AR, or it's called XR, isn't it? Basically all of the Rs. Social within that, things like fan avatars, artist avatars. I think there's an awful lot on that to be explored.
Okay, so maybe it's still there. I mean, we're not dismissing this. There is something really exciting around the corner. We're just saying music needs its Pokemon Go moment.
I think so. And gaming still seems to be primarily, well, when you're looking at developing VR, are you going to do 360? Are you going to do 3D? If you're going to do 3D, then you need to find someone who knows something like Unity 3D to build it. It need not be enormously expensive, but that's the approach that you need. But yeah, I think gaming, like you mentioned horror earlier on, like Resident Evil on PlayStation VR, is fright-based stuff. So maybe we can do artists that scare people. I don't know.
It's interesting how often we talk about gaming. Like we look at sort of Candy Crush or Clash of Clans, or now it's Fortnite, and say, why can't music do this? These are brands that appear overnight and start making hundreds of $1 million a month. I mean, literally that much money a month.
We need a Guitar Hero style moment, and that kind of stuff. Rhythm games could work very well in the social AR. In the Apple keynote, when the Apple's tech for AR is called AR Kit, and they showed that off in their latest keynote, and it was a group of people around a table playing Gallagher in 3D. So I think rhythm games in AR could be around the corner and could maybe ignite imaginations as much as Pokemon Go.
I want to just shift over now to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and how that applies to music. There are a load of companies who are focusing on AI and music, and they tend to be companies who are looking at the automated creation of music, which could be, or mainly is, for games, sort of background music, sync music, production music, that kind of thing. So if you want to have something that's like da-da-da-da-da suspense building in the background in a game or in a TV show, then that can be almost now perfectly created by a machine rather than a person. There are mixed versions of this, though, where those kind of machine composition tools can be used by people to create new compositions or adaptations. And then there's versions of this where we can sort of create or remix using that software. So you put in a piece of music and then it can create a different version of it. So leaving aside the sort of computer created music, because I don't really think that has an application for marketing. The other stuff does, though, where you can work in collaboration with a computer or machine and produce new stuff, or you can use machines to spit out remixes or versions. And we've seen this now used in marketing campaigns or in release strategies by labels, which are really more for marketing than they are for new product. And this is a really interesting new development. I mean, this is like literally within the last 2 years, maybe even like the last year, this has started to really happen on a bigger scale, where AI music has been used as part of the marketing mix. So I just want to get your viewpoints on whether this is, again, this is another gimmick, or if this is actually a really interesting trend we're starting to see.
Shall I talk about AI music a bit? So can you put your hand up if you saw Cliff's presentation yesterday where he played the Jackson 5? A few people, yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing, that stuff. So AI music, it's not just like you, the company AI Music, and this is one of their products. It's not just that they're sort of putting a different beat underneath that track. When they shape-shift a track, they, the build and the drop and everything is being worked out by the algorithm. It's not just sort of laying a vocal line over the top, which means that you can do collaborations. And I think this is something that AI Music are doing in their offices. They've built studios for people to collaborate. Now, if that means that Katy Perry can release a new track and you can have a version of that, as in your very own, maybe with you singing on it or doing something else on it, that's really valuable, I think.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to like marketing music today, there's been talking about like personalization very much. We're talking about personalizing playlists, but if it comes to like personalizing your own sound to your favorite music, I think that's when it becomes really, really interesting, because just when you hear that, you can like feel the idea starting in your head, and you're like, okay, this is fun engagement, this is interesting, people can play around with it, there's some kind of gamification with it, then it becomes really, really interesting. And I think there's a lot of stuff behind that we're gonna see in the near future.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be very exciting for marketing. There are the legal copyright issues to get over. And obviously some artists are in, like there's the remixing, UGC or user-generated content, remixing campaigns are now like a standard thing. So this is, you could essentially have an AI approach with that on steroids. And there are some artists who will be really into this, and you could even, you could do collaborations. You get a lot of clothing collaborations, don't you? Like Supreme and this, and so you could do the same with artists, which I think would be quite interesting. And then you use something like AI music's technology as the bridge, and then just let fans use the tools of AI music to sort of play with it. I also think the attention, like it's all about attention now, isn't it? It's attentionomics, and I think the attention span of somebody using AI music tools to play around with their own favorite artist's music, provided all the rights were cleared, I think the so-called, like an important web metric is dwell time, and the average website dwell time for an artist website is going to be 30 seconds at best. So with something like this, if you people on it for minutes, hours, like that is, compelling.
We used to see this where you could get the stems from a track and play around with them, and increase the volume or drop out the bass or whatever. So is this an extension of that, where you can just play around with the stems?
Yeah, but also with the added generative waveforms that they're doing as well. The way that a lot of AI works is you get a model and you train the model. So you say, here's 50,000 dubstep tracks, here's 50,000 jazz bebop tracks, and it will learn from that way. But if you're bringing in like an artist's seal of approval, so if you say, artist X or Y are going to provide some of their own music or be part of this experiment, as well as stuff that the algorithm generates, then you could have then it is a true marketing campaign where you've involved users, and rather than just, it's much more compelling than just sticking your head on Elf Yourself and sending it around, which is what a lot of UGC tends to be.
I get the feeling then that, with this AI side of things, there's much more enthusiasm, positivity, that this could be way more engaging than the virtual reality side. Do you have any examples of stuff you've worked with already that and you've seen there be really big user uptake or engagement?
What I really would like, we haven't worked with it yet, but it's on the back of this generative concept is image nets and wave nets. It's where neural nets, read a whole model of data and then generate based on it. And wave nets are kind of scary in what they could do, especially in the wrong hands. So there's an example. It's called Lyrebird, and I think it's from the University of Montreal. And you can basically type what you want, and it will say it. So they've got a Donald Trump one, they've got an Obama one, and it doesn't sound wrong. It doesn't sound like, oh, that sounds like a stupid ass machine. It does literally sound like Donald Trump. So to use that in a marketing context, to have artists say things to you, provided they are okay with that, I think could be very interesting.
Stick that on a bot.
Yeah.
If we do talk about bots a little bit and the value that they can bring to a marketing campaign, if you're an artist and you're running a bot let's not call them chatbots, because doesn't it say in the white paper, somebody was saying nobody wants to chat to a machine. But really valuable artist information can be given over and direct to that person's phone. And I think lots of artists are finding they're getting great merch sales through bots.
Well, yeah, that's right. So bots, messenger bots are basically, largely it's on Facebook Messenger because their API is much more easy to work with. So you can, if you're following a particular artist, you can interact with that artist, but it's actually a bot that's guiding the conversation along certain principles, and it's good for saying, hey, we've just got a new tour, hey, we've got some merch out. The bot platform is the example in the white paper. The bot platform is the company. They worked with, is it Axwell Ingrosso on some merch campaign? I think they just sold out instantly with a T-shirt. I think there's 5,000 T-shirts sold just by pushing out one. The maximum number of recipients is 500,000 in one day. So there is a cap, I think, still.
That's still a lot.
But it's still a lot, yeah. And I think the interaction rate, so it's something like the response rate is 95% on a campaign, which is incredible. So bots work at the moment, and you know we'll be finding that we interact with bots more than we realize. For
sure.
Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily sort of link that with the other more creative side of AI, but I think it's worth looking at. And also, if we're talking about AI, then we interact with it all the time when we're using Spotify, you know, Discover Weekly, or those kind of algorithmic playlists are examples of AI that we're currently using already. And it's important for us in the marketing context to understand how that AI works. I mean, so if we talk about Discover Weekly just quickly, do you understand the algorithm for that and how you need to use it to engage with fans? How important are algorithmic playlists versus the curated ones?
Yes, I understand it. I mean, but it's for me who work with music and work with my Spotify, it always mess things up because I have to follow artists that I work with, and I have to listen to certain kind of music if I'm like maybe say I'm looking at a country artist and I maybe like for a whole week just listen to country music, even though I don't want to do that when I'm on the train home. I have to listen to it at work, so that always messes up my Spotify algorithm. So it's hard to like, because I can never say, yeah, it works great, because I listen so weirdly at Spotify.
Yeah, you need like a guilty pleasure. Or I work for a major label, please don't put this in my algorithm, I just have to listen to it button. Yeah. Yeah, that Spotify API for recommendation is very powerful and can be used by other, well, like we've done stuff with it. It's Spotify acquired a company called Econest a few years ago, so that is the tech that goes into that, and it's very powerful and impressive. And I've discovered a lot of music that way. And but as you've mentioned, there are occasional problems, like when it recommends Drake to me. It's like I know who Drake is. It's okay. Yeah.
I think that I wanted to use that as a segue into the final bit, which is voice. And voice requires an awful lot of AI because there is no kind of visual interface. You've got 50 million tracks and you just got to shout to get I want pop music. What comes up first? And obviously the big platforms are the ones who are going to dominate, which is primarily here we're talking about Amazon. And no one knows really, I think, how this is going to play out. But when we talk about the next billion music consumers and we talk about reaching the true mainstream mass market in streaming, we're talking about through voice speakers now. And this is really interesting. I don't expect any definitive answers here, but I mean, when you think about the future for streaming and for marketing and engagement, is voice now part of the like, you know, front and center in that conversation?
I really believe so, but I think that when it comes to like talking to an Alexa, we need to learn these AI machines a whole new way, because as it works today, it's really not, it doesn't really work that well, because how we're listening, we started from like listening to radio, and radio decided what we wanted to listen to. Then we went to downloads, but if you skip that, we went to streaming, and then it's the playlist that Spotify created. It became a huge thing, and then Apple also has the playlist, but and they also started with these, what we call the mood playlists. Like, I want happy music, or I want modern music, and all these like mood playlists. And people are trying to ask their Alexa, like, oh, play me some modern music. And when Alexa plays, it's modern classical music, because that's what she is taught. And so we really need to know how to talk with our machines before it becomes like our #1 priority to how to listen to it.
I was speaking to some academics last week who were working on this natural language and what we actually mean by play some happy music isn't Play Me Happy by Pharrell Williams. And I think there's quite a lot of work going into that, thank goodness, because it's essential, isn't it? And the other thing about voice I thought was really interesting this week, looking at, and you're absolutely right about, it's the big boys who are going to lead, isn't it? Amazon Music have developed a skill for Alexa where you can say, when something's playing, Alexa, follow this artist, and they'll now play you their new release as soon as it comes on. I mean, at some point, tickets are going to be added into that, I would have thought. So it'll be alert me when they're playing. We already have bands in town, Songkick and all that. But if you can do it immediately by voice when you're listening to a track and go, yeah, tell me when they're playing near me, even if you don't know who the artist is.
Well, that's right. And the newer speakers will also have they blink a notification light as well.
Oh, the little yellow light.
So, yeah, so if you're following, you alert that Alexa skill, you're following that artist, it's going to start blinking when there's something there, and you say, like, tell me what's going on. Hey, there's this new song by blah, blah. And that is so powerful. If the growth rate of these speakers is on a trajectory, which means that could be the most powerful marketing tool there is.
And also the barrier for making Alexa skills is very low, actually, because there's lots of software out there where you can generate Alexa skills without needing to know code. Amazon themselves offer a load of blueprints for doing it. So I think for for a grassroots musician, I think skills are a really interesting opportunity. It reminds me a bit of the App Store 10 years ago, before it all got monopolized. It does feel a bit more Wild West. I mean, there's a lot of stupid fart apps and things like that, but there's there's going to be coming up with what Amazon call VUI, voice user interface, like, or an utterance flow, as they also call it. Coming up with that, like, anybody can do that. Then that's quite fun to do, and then to use a development tool which doesn't need coding to push it up to Amazon, I think makes it quite powerful. And then it's just a case of people finding it. But to your point about how people use it, there's another cliche, the occasions are the new genres, and we've seen that on Spotify, we'll see that on Voice, which is people say, I want music when I'm going for a run, I want morning coffee music, I want shower music, whatever it is, and that's going to start to become the biggest kind of discovery entry point, and Voice will clearly drive that.
So you could combine voice with AI and just automatically create your own shower music.
Yeah, well, that's going to come next, isn't it? Yeah.
All right, look, shall we try and get through these in 8 minutes, 40 seconds? Who wants to take the first one? What sort of data points as a marketer are you looking at? How does that affect your campaign?
Data points. I don't really understand the question, but I think that, I mean, when you start a campaign, you have to ask yourself, why are we doing this? Do you want to grow the artist socials? Do we want to have 1 million streams right away? What do we actually want with it? Even if we're an art label, we don't always think about streams. We can also do the building of the artist. So you have to really start from the bottom and look there, and that's when you see how much budget you have. And I was talking very pessimistic about the whole gimmicky thing, but if you have that money to like, yeah, this artist already is this big, so like if we do a gimmicky stuff and get some PR, that can be a great campaign. So I'm not saying it's a bad campaign, you just have to really look at the artist and what your brief is and how you want to build that music.
Yeah, okay, I mean,
I guess that means metrics. I presume it means metrics or KPIs. And if it's a web metric, then personally I think dwell time is very important. But obviously, using link trackers to see how much you drove, how much how much you converted to somebody streaming it. That's the key one. But personally, for me, when I'm relaying things back and I'm trying to show how a campaign worked or not through being engaging, because fan engagement being primarily what we do, then it's really dwell time, which is why when we've done web games and things, they've always been a big success on that. Yeah.
Let's take this one because I think it's quite easy to answer. It seems that the biggest trend in marketing next year will be messenger bots. Agree?
Well, Facebook themselves appear to be more into Messenger as like a custom, what they call CX, like customer experience. So IKEA or an airline or whatever it is, and then it taking the replacement of that, because obviously that's more measurable, I suppose. And a lot of the, I don't know, I mean, you've mentioned like it needs like a water cooler moment I need to have, or like my mum or something needs to come to me and say, I've just been using this messenger bot, isn't it great? And I don't know if we're there yet. From a marketing point of view, I think messenger bots are great because there's 100% deliverability when you do a broadcast, which is, you don't get that with email. You don't get that with social media generally. So I think that makes messenger bots very important. But it's about the aesthetic of the artist, I think. Even if they become de rigueur and everyone uses them, there's some artist fan bases it's just not going to work.
I'd say yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. Yes. All right, good. And what do we got? Like 5 minutes. So how do you think companies like Spotify and SoundCloud will use AI, machine learning, and voice assistants? AR, VR, and immersive environments. Spotify and SoundCloud. I mean, I guess, Spotify's made moves into video already, sort of initially not the best experience, and then vertical video launched. But I don't know that Spotify and SoundCloud would really use AR and VR too much. I'm not sure.
Well, you could use it within a VR experience.
Yeah.
You could stream it in, just like you can stream a YouTube video into a 3D experience. So you could use it for that, I suppose. It's a frontier for them to be in.
Yeah. And in terms of AI and machine learning, they already do,
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Other questions? Is AR more likely to succeed in the live business? Different angles. I think Facebook would be a prime example of a platform that's ripe for exploring live.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that going forward, 2019, 2020, I expect to see more of that because of I know like Jack White has just banned phones from his gigs, but for everybody else, you've got very engaged people in a space, and rather than getting annoyed with it, you may as well use it. And I think, AR at gigs is still very untapped, very exciting, and should be explored more. Yeah.
Will it be live? Like you want to be there at the time that concert's being performed, as if you're there, or will it be more like we talk about compensating for concert DVDs? Could it just be relive the experience?
That's what I want to move away from. I don't think that a VR setting when you sit at home and you pretend that you're on a live concert is not the way forward, but instead of engaging when you're at the live concert. And I mean, the ticket prices are today very high because that's how artists earn a lot of money. And so to give them this extra usp when they're at that concert having their phone up, I think it's a great marketing thing.
Yeah. I think also accessibility needs to be looked at when it comes to live events, as in the people who can't be there. So I think there still is it's a niche area, but yeah.
I know Boiler Room have been looking at this for a long time as well. It just seems we don't have the data to tell us whether or not there's a big enough audience to do this yet. We've had live simulcasts of big gigs in cinemas, for example, but that's not really taken off as a thing. We just don't know yet. It seems intuitive, it seems natural that people will want to have a VR experience of a big gig, but at this stage, you know, it's
got to crack the social bit.
Right.
I think,
yeah.
as
and
we were
this is
saying,
what Josh, you keep coming back to. It's the social aspect.
Being with people, which the Wave does.
Okay, should we try this one? How, as a music industry, are we going to cooperate with, for example, Amazon Alexa? What do we need to do not to follow technology, but to develop it with them? So not allow them to lead, but to help them to understand what we as a music industry need, not just be slaves to the speaker, I guess.
I mean, we do, I mean, if they want to listen to us, I think that we could have a really great understanding, because Sony had something, or we have something that's called Filter Playlist, and we were one of the first large company that developed these third-party playlists, and it grew immensely, and we have all this knowledge about how people want to listen to music, what types, and what they say, what they search for, and search words are the words that people would ask their Amazon Alexa, and I think in that way we can steer them and help them understand how to communicate music-wise with their Alexa. And I mean, it was something that I would love to do, but I don't know if Amazon would want to listen to us, but
I think, I mean, from my understanding, that they're still trying to grapple with this, because the success of Echo and Alexa was unexpected by everybody. I mean, just the rate of takeoff of voice interaction has been incredible, and it's hugely exciting, but nobody really knows how we're going to be able to steer.
And the number one used music, obviously, and then smart home, and then utilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I know we're supposed to be finishing now, so this is good timing. I'll wrap up and just say, running through things as we ran through them. So the whole kind of virtual reality environment, virtual reality, augmented reality, which is much more kind of mainstream already with Snapchat lenses. We'll call it, as Josh said, XR. Which covers everything, including the kind of social aspects that are still missing. We've a way to go before that is prevalent in music marketing. Music marketing has yet to have its Pokemon Go moment, but when it does, it could be huge. So let's keep experimenting, keep that sort of blank canvas, we'll paint on it until we get there. AI, much more exciting. Everyone seems to be really interested in this. The potential for AI is huge, but it's really new. And from a marketing perspective, I don't think anyone feels put off by the idea of interacting with machines or using that kind of AI capability to adapt and make music work in different contexts. So that's something we'll definitely want to keep looking at. And then voice. Moments are the new genres, and voice is perhaps a way, perhaps in collaboration with AI, to start unlocking that. Again, we're at the beginning of this, but we all know that what's coming with voice is, again, it's very exciting, and we just need to make sure that we're not following, but we're helping to create and curate the experience that exists on that. Thanks very much to the panelists. Thanks for all your questions. They're really good. And thank you for coming along to this session. Cheers.